There we
What's going
go.
on?
What's up, dude?
What's going on, you silly
Oh,
son
we
of a...
got the AI transcribing now, even.
Oh, I don't see that for
Getting,
some reason.
getting pretty advanced in your old age there, Cole.
Jesus Christ.
We can have a we can have a guest on.
Well, I don't even understand what that is. I just signed up for Zoom. Hey, hi. Oh my
Hey,
God.
Cole.
Jesus Christ. All right. I feel ambushed right now.
Sorry, Cole.
No, I'm joking. How you doing, Matt?
Doing good.
Good.
Doing
Good.
good.
What
How
have you
you
been
doing?
up to, man? What have you been up to?
I'm
I'm
just
good. I'm
working.
all right. Can't complain. But what have you been up to, man?
Just working on power lines.
Dude, I admire that. That is not an easy job.
Yeah, I
Seriously.
sure as hell wouldn't do it.
Or who's that guy?
Oh, that's
How
my
many
brother.
fucking dudes you got popping up? Oh, yeah,
We're
that
we're
makes
at
sense.
my parents' house.
Hi,
Oh,
Cole.
cool. Oh, hi.
Do you remember? You remember his mom?
I do.
Did you ever meet his mom?
I think I did. She was
Long
very
time ago,
nice.
yeah. I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, she was very kind. Uh, um, I mean, I think so. What can I say? I mean,
Yeah, she a good woman, ain't she, huh?
that's one way of putting it. I would just say, yeah, she was a very nice lady, and I don't know her very well. I maybe like 15-year-old me met her a couple times, and yeah, she
Yeah.
was nice.
From the prom
Yeah.
march. Cool.
Can you imagine that was basically 20 years ago? That doesn't make any goddamn sense. Was it
Isn't
20
that
years ago?
correct? Almost. We're at 17 because we
Well, no,
graduated
you
in
were
2000 and
17, but for a while, dude, remember there was a while like in our peak where I was still 15 because I couldn't drive at all, and you had to be the wheels.
I was the
So
wheels for a while. I was the cool kid for a bit.
yeah, you had the fucking Oldsmobile, and you were the wheels.
Oh, bro, that sucker would float across them dirt roads, man.
It really would. And also like
Thank you.
it was a little nerdy. Like we thought it was I think well, nah, you justified it, but part of me thought it was a little nerdy. But like actually it was pretty gangster when you really think about it.
Dude, of course it's gangster. How is that not gangster? You got an Oldsmobile. You
I'm
know what
pretty
I
sure
should
we
I
had
should
the
have
same
pimped that.
conversation then. I
I should have
guarantee
pimped
we
that
had this
Oldsmobile
conversation.
out. That was a 95 Oldsmobile. I can't remember if it was a 95 or a 93.
So it wasn't actually that old.
Not at the time, no.
No, not at the time. Um yeah, that was like dude, that was pre Mustang days that I
Yep,
think that we were over at Matt Lolly's place.
that was
Yeah.
before I really introduced the muscle.
Yeah, that American V6, baby. You know what I'm saying? Like,
You remember we took the muffler off that,
yes.
and we go down Main Street.
Yeah, dude. But do you remember when I mean, we weren't as much friends at the time, but like there was some crossover period where like, no, this would have been later. Now I'm confused.
Wait, hold on. No. We were still pretty tight in my Mustang days.
No, but I'm
Remember?
thinking,
Because
what about with the red Jeep? That must have been when I got back together with Greta and we didn't hang out as much.
yep,
Something.
it was. I think it was.
But then again, or I think we used to hang out
No,
sometimes in the Jeep.
oh, all the time, dude. We did that a
Oh, I
lot.
remember. I was like friend. I was kind of in that like sort of Nick Longworth, Alex Gilbertson, sometimes Nate
I'm
Lechner
gonna get
phase of
outside.
life. And for some reason, you weren't in that picture all the time. Like it was a little bit something. There was a little
Yeah,
bit.
because I was. Well, no, I knew I wasn't, and I was throwing a big. Remember, I would throw a big pity party.
Oh yeah.
I was all like, "You don't like me anymore. You just hang out
Is
with
that
them
really
all the
what it
time."
was? Is that really what it was? I feel like we're missing some important context here, because
Well,
if
no,
that
it
were the
was.
case,
I remember that's how I was feeling
I
because it
don't
was
think I
like,
would
well,
have
you know
like.
what it was is because they didn't like me
Uh,
is what it boiled
well,
down to. And so it was like and I didn't really fit in with you guys at the time because you guys were all like, stoning out and doing the
Oh, and
band
plus,
stuff
dude,
and like
you had
playing.
way better shit to do. Don't forget that you would. I think part of it was you self-isolated because you were fucking so, dude. Don't forget how obsessed you were with gaming. I'm talking
Oh, I know.
like you definitely self-segregated. I think
I
a lot
did.
of it was just you
I
being like, I gotta play fucking
self-sabotage.
Quake tonight, or I'm on fucking Halo, or I'm on da 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 da. I don't even know what all the ones you were on, but it was like,
You're not wrong.
dude, seriously,
Those
when
were
you
the
think
two,
about it,
bro.
like
You remember.
you're projecting like your current brain. I mean, I'm sure you still game, but like we're looking at it as like how we would act now. But back then, I bet there were a lot of times where I was like, dude, yeah, I
Look how
mean, it's
good,
like, Nick
look how good I
Longworth,
look right now in this.
and I bet half the time, dude, you were like, yeah, fuck Nick Longworth. I don't like that guy anyway, and plus I need to play Quake. I mean, I can almost guarantee that shit was a conversation we were having. And then you'd be like, yeah, but you can come over later or whatever. And then I would show up at like 11:30. I bet that,
Yeah,
dude,
yeah,
seriously.
it's about what it was actually.
Almost like an old married couple, which is pretty, disturbing. It's like basically like we had separate friends,
May as
but we
well
still
be, man.
lived. We still both
Oh,
lived
I
with your
forgot.
grandparents for
You
a
run in
while.
and grab my vape, please. You can rip on it. Thank you, Matt. What's that?
You got him working for you now? You got him waiting on you? Hand and foot? What are you
Yeah, I
doing?
do. That's Matt Lawley. No, he's a good friend, just like you. Between you and him, you guys are my good friends, man. I wouldn't have it any other way.
That's what she said.
Fuck yeah, it is what she said.
Doesn't really make sense, but I'm sticking with it.
It doesn't make sense, but
Who
makes
would have
sense to me.
guessed? Who would have
Makes
guessed
sense
that I
to
would
me.
have walked in on a fucking. I mean, I almost feel like, like
You're
it's almost like when you catch your parents. I mean, I'm not saying this happened to me, but you catch your parents in
having
the
sex
bedroom.
and they got like a big. Remember when we found that big pink dildo in my grandparents' dresser?
Bro,
You remember that?
trust me, I found some shit in my house, man. Like just it's what it is, man. They apparently
Just
that
make.
generation got down
I,
and they were really bad at hiding it.
well, I think they were so old at that point they just don't care. Well, if somebody sees this giant pink dildo in the dresser, yeah, I have a feeling that was probably for my grandpa and less for my grama
Bro,
at that
I
point.
gotta be honest with you. This is gonna like just please take this like I like at my because we stay so often with Spressa's like parents. Like we literally because now we got a house down there. It's like 4 hours south, so it's almost like the equivalent of like if you lived in
Jesus
Minneapolis.
Christ,
But
how many places you got, you rich bastard?
no, I'm not. No, dude. In Stockholm, we rent our apartment.
Yeah, you rent an apartment.
No, but
and
it's
then you have
rent
a
controlled.
house.
It's rent controlled. It's like living in Manhattan when you got a rent controlled
Yeah,
apartment.
but
You
you
don't
still
know
got to
about this.
pay the rent on the house.
Yeah, but it's like yeah, but that's a mortgage.
Jesus Christ, that
But
must be
hold
nice.
on, no, but that was like a big deal for us, dude. We couldn't even get a loan for years. Like even after like all the success or whatever, like when we would go to banks and be like, "Hey, can you give us a loan to get a mortgage?" They'd be like, "Your business doesn't seem very stable. You guys are literally musicians. Even if you have money, no, no." It took us years, and finally the only way that we did it is like we randomly went into the bank one day because we were starting to get a little bit depressed. We were like, it's almost like the Illuminati is not allowing us to own property for some reason. I mean,
Oh, dude, you know what it is? I don't even think
hold
it's so
on,
much.
shut the fuck up. That was
No,
just me being.
wait, hold on. I don't even think it's before you continue. I don't even think it's so much the Illuminati. I think that
I
maybe the bankers are in with the CIA and they know about you.
Shut the fuck up. Obviously, I was being facetious here. All right. So what I'm saying is like, but I was getting a little bit depressed. Like, hey man, the system is kind of rigged against people in our position. Whatever, like victim mentality shit for a moment.
It's rigged against me. I have enough money to rent a house and an apartment at the same time. Don't even talk about rigged. Listen to
No,
you.
That's
You're
not. No,
living a
that's
good
not what.
life, man. That's good for you.
Bro,
Meanwhile,
bro, I already
I live at
told
my
you.
mom's.
I'm not Post Malone.
You remember
I am
his?
literally like, it's as if I went to school all those years. I spent 10 years grinding my ass off trying to do
Remember
this
that
shit.
kid used to walk like he always
Well,
used
hold
to
on.
like he
I
always
spent
used to walk like he used to be
Clinton.
paralyzed. What?
Clinton, listen to Cole for a goddamn minute now.
All right.
What I'm trying to say is that I probably spent more time grinding than some fucking of these bastards, and I'm more power to them, but who went and got their degree, and then they were like, fucking dean's list, 2 years up for a master's maybe or
Oh,
something like
Christ,
that.
this is what he's getting into. He's
No,
about to
but
float his own boat a little bit.
no,
Here
but
we
here's
go.
what I'm saying. I'm saying I probably spent longer grinding it out with no certainty at all. At least when you have a degree,
You
But
did, though.
but I'm saying I took the chance of like I could be having this conversation with you right now, and you'd be like, I believe in you, man. You're gonna make it someday, dude. Like, hey, just don't give up the fight, brother.
But
Like that's
you knew, part of me always knew that you would probably succeed because you were so smart intellectually and you were so artistic that it was like
don't start fucking floating my boat
it's
right now.
it's true though. Like you were super smart. You're smarter than me by a long
I
shot.
don't agree with that. I think that you're very smart. I just think that you don't have the same like we don't have the same vision about things. But I think that
True.
I think that I find you like one of the most intellectually stimulating and compelling people I've ever met.
Well, that's
Honestly.
because we get along and we can talk about certain things that kind of I don't know, that
Yeah,
make you
like gay
think a little
shit.
bit.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
I said, yeah, it's gay shit. We
Oh
could have
God,
some.
don't get me started on that. Do you remember? I don't I don't know if we were talking at the time or not. In high school, when I used to write those songs and they were all about wieners, and I would make Andrew Mickelson sing them in front of people and he would do it.
See, that's what I'm saying, man. You're also an artist. That is, if that's not art, I don't know what the fuck is, man.
Turning songs into wiener songs.
I mean, like imagine if you had YouTube at that time and you actually recorded it.
Oh my
Fucking
God,
any
dude.
any shit, dude, the shit we both got up to, but either one of us independently. Like if you recorded all the fucking interactions I heard about that I wasn't a part of, like in the fucking, Halo LAN days. Yeah, you
Yeah.
you could have been like a fucking PewDiePie guy or whatever, a little bit with a dark edge, but like,
Gotta
but
be
that's just the
PewDiePie.
thing is
That's
like
funny that you say PewDiePie because my mom and my sister are like, "You look like PewDiePie." I'm like, "I do not." That's
Yeah, I
funny.
guess you do in a way. I never thought about it, but you kind of do. But I'm just saying, like that's the thing is like that's what separates even now. Like all the ideas still. This is why I'm where I am and not further. Is because there's still too many ideas that I don't act upon. But it's like, but if you've got something that you actually stick to and act upon it, like
Oh,
doggedly,
yeah.
which is what music was for me. But I'm
And
saying, like, if
that,
you actually took the initiative to record yourself and set up a camera and do it, you probably could be very successful, honestly. But it's just like,
yeah.
that's the thing that's separating the line is like, what do you do? What are you willing to do? And like my grandpa always told me, he always literally said, and this is the only reason I think that what happened for me, but it's also why I'm not further is he always told me successful people do what unsuccessful people are not willing to do. And it was like, okay, yeah, that's a very simple
That
calculus, but let me tell you how many times that if you actually think about that in the moment, where
oh,
you're
it's
like,
very
nah,
true
I don't
though.
want to go up there, I'm too nervous, no, I don't feel like it, and then you think, oh, successful people do what unsuccessful people are not willing to do. The willingness to fail, the willingness to look like an idiot, the willingness for everybody to like say it's not going to happen. I used to meet my aunt's husband Eli, who I consider my uncle.
Hmm.
And dude, he was like the biggest demotivator ever. He'd be like, dude, because he's like a union guy and he's like made a good living with that. And he'd be like, dude, you got to get in the trades. You got to do this. You got to do that. And he's like, do you know how many? Because he grew up in California. Do you know how many guys I know that literally like they were so dedicated that they were sleeping in their van by the side of the river and they were going to every single gig, every single open mic, writing songs 24 hours a day. They spent their whole life doing it and nothing ever happened for them. Do you know how many times this guy fucking told me that while I was sitting there trying to actually do this as a thing?
Yeah,
Like
but
it's
that just
fucking.
goes to that just goes to show you though how much he really didn't know who you were as a person and what you were capable of. Like the people
Well,
he's
I
talking.
appreciate you saying that, but I mean,
No, but
who
it's true though. He
knows
didn't
that
know
about
you.
anybody?
He didn't know you, as a person and how gifted you were, artistically, and how you were very in tune with yourself. And a lot of those people that he talks to, yeah, they're just a bunch of fucking in the van down by the river, but they don't have the in the van down by the river. But that's what they were though. They were in a van down by the river, and that's all they were. They didn't have any like intellectual capability. You know what I mean? And you know,
Unfortunately, you are right, but I'm sure there was a few in there who probably just really got fucked. I mean, you know, but
so you
yeah,
think about it, there are some people who really lucked out and they have some talent, and then you're on the other spectrum, right, where you didn't necessarily luck out. I mean, I remember, dude, you've spent your entire half of your life doing what you're doing now, and you had like the brain to do it, and you had the willingness to do it, and you had the support from your grandpa, and you had his wisdom, and you went and you took that into consideration and you stuck to it, and now here you are being as successful as you could possibly be, and maybe you want more, but you at some point you'll probably have more if you
well,
want
it's not
more.
even. I
But
appreciate you
also
saying this. You know,
also though, not like you're doing what you love to do. They did it because it was something fun for them, whereas it
well,
was for something for you. I felt like that was going to be it for you.
well,
You understand what I'm
it would be
saying?
either that or I would be literally living in like a fucking like
Van down by the
ashram.
river.
Well, no, but it was the thing is that like I just accepted it was the same thing that I said about
Yeah,
Espresso. It
but
was like after
think
I
about it though. Look at all the people. I'm gonna interrupt you. Look at all the people who
that's
go
fine.
on The Voice. Look at all the people who go on American Idol to get that recognition and to get known. But a lot of them don't have the ability to write their own music and do this and do that.
Well, that's
You were on a different level at one point, and you have that artistic ability that you can write music that connects with other people, and that's what makes you successful. It has not. What makes you successful is your ability to communicate through your music, and that's what music is about. And it's obvious because you go on your YouTube videos and you see what people comment, and they're all able to connect with it to one extent or the other. And that's what's most important, I think, in music is that sure you've got like people who are really great singers and it carries them really far, but they ain't writing their own music. And a lot of people who do write their own music don't aren't as successful as those who have an amazing voice, right? Because they're just singing lyrics written by somebody else. So
or yeah, or you're saying like actually that because that is a thing in this industry is
yeah,
that there's a
I
lot
mean
of people.
you could very well write music, and I'm sure you do it on the side. Do you not write music and sell some of it, or do you have you not got into
Um,
that?
well, a
Like
little bit.
your lyrics and stuff, you know, it's
There's a
something
little
that
bit
you
of there's a little bit of that going on.
yeah, but you know, that's the shit that you can do, and it's like okay, you're good at being able to write music, like you're good at writing, and so that in and of itself, it's like okay, you've got your own thing, you've got your own style, you can connect with it. You write this song, you want it to be yours. You got another song you write, and it's like, oh, you know, maybe this will be
Yeah,
better off for
exactly.
someone else. Maybe,
Yeah,
you know, I
yeah, yeah,
like this song,
exactly.
but maybe it'll connect better with somebody else. So let's see, and then you can sell it, you know, to
Yeah, dude.
whoever wants it. And
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and then it's also like so that it doesn't go to waste. But yeah, no, that's true, and that is interesting. It is interesting when you start to think about like I think part of it is also like as much as what you said, which I really appreciate, of course. Like you named a lot of positive things, but there's also a lot of negative things, which is like I tend to be a little bit micromanagey and a little bit controlling. And they're
well,
like
see,
part of the reason is like
I
I
wouldn't
don't
know that
trust
about you
anybody
though.
to produce. Like the reason that I used to tell people up until like sorry to just keep, but I got to just get this out. Up until like for like I would say right before the Year Somebody Else thing happened for years I always told people like I don't want to I mean, this is a little bit untrue but I used to say like because I kind of thought this I was like well if we had somebody else producing our music maybe it would go better you know because I knew my limitations I was like it doesn't sound how records on my favorite band sound but I was still and I would for a while be like well I'm only doing this out of necessity because I'm too poor to work with a producer. Because in my mind, it was like, well, I can't afford studio space. I can't afford to work with a producer. But really, I'm a songwriter. You know, I'm really a songwriter and I'm just producing out of necessity. I used to tell people that. But then, like a few
Yeah.
years back, when we had the opportunity to work with producers with the RCA stuff, I realized that a lot of these people didn't have anything new to bring to the table, and they actually weren't that good. And by
They
then,
weren't that creative. Yeah.
And they were
Well, they
basically
get
just taking my ideas and being like, well, what if
yeah,
we make it faster? And it's like, but you just
right.
took like all the instruments I just did. You took all my parts and you're saying you're producing it? Hell
And it
fucking
gave
no.
you, and it came to you came to the realization that like, hold on a second, they're taking my ideas and doing nothing with it.
Yeah. And this
Why
was
would
just the main guy. This was the main guy. This guy was Mike Elizondo. It was the only time that we had a co-producer
And this is
because
why though, that's where your creativeness comes into play, your artistic view on things is that you didn't have the confidence at the time, and then after you got in with somebody who you knew was in the industry
yeah,
and okay,
on
this guy's gonna
paper,
be great. He's gonna produce us, he's gonna make us, and then you
yeah, dude.
talk to him and it's like, hold on a second, you want all of my shit so you can make more money off of me than I'd make for myself
Yeah, and
when
he
I could
totally
just
just he phoned it in, dude. He was like, he asked me to play my original like quote unquote demo, which really wasn't a demo because I don't have demos. I have works in progress.
hey, let's
And
just speed it up.
then he
Great
goes,
idea.
no, but he's like, yeah, and what if we like a slightly higher key? So the whole thing we move the capo up on the guitar and we make it a
Right.
little faster. And but then he was like, and then he was like, oh, what's that? And I was like, oh no, that was just this little key part I came up with. Can you bounce that? Yeah. Oh, what was that? I was like, oh, these are these percussion things I put in there. Ah, can you bounce that? I just expected him from the ground up to be like somebody who's like, we're throwing it all away and I'm gonna
Right.
show you what's up. And instead it became everything I already did, he used. And then he was trying to say he produced it. And I said to them, I said to the label, I was like, this is a co-produce.
Right.
We get producer credit on this. This was a terrible experience. We wasted a lot of money on this. This was retarded. I can't believe I got roped into this actually. Although it
Right.
was actually my own fault because this was my posturing to the label. But
Right.
obviously deep down I was expecting him to just be way better than me and to like you already described. And then we
Right.
ended up getting the co-produced. But from that point on I was like, Jesus Christ. But again, maybe this is a little bit of a problem because like there are people that could, and I have opened up to that from time to time,
Sure.
but it's a little bit of a control freak thing that I got going on and a little bit of like I don't like the idea that because if I bring in a co-producer, I don't like the idea that at like 3 in the morning I can't change anything. And then if I want him to change something he did, then I got to think about his ego getting hurt and all this stuff when I just want to have like quick, like I want to make a change. I want to listen to it in my car and everything that doesn't sound right, I want to be able to change it when I feel like it. Maybe I don't change it
Right.
right away, but I don't want to be like having to email a guy and being like, yeah, dude, it sounded really good. Like honestly, everything was awesome, but there was just this one thing at 33 seconds. Could you just like bump that a little bit or take it out? Or actually, could we just hear it without that? But it was great. But if I could just not hear it with that, and then like he
Right.
gets back to me 4 days later, and
Yeah.
then by then I don't even care about that part anymore. I'm not even. And then I already have 5 other notes that now I have to send to the guy. You know what
Fuck.
I'm saying?
You
So it's
sound
like
like a distressed artist, bro.
I don't
I feel
know.
like that's what it is, man. Or a distressed musician.
Yeah,
It's
maybe.
like I want to do this and I can, but then it's gonna take fucking. I understand where you're coming from. That
Well,
would
that's
get
why
that
I'm
would
just saying,
that
like
would get
making art
annoying.
by committee. But there are certain things
Yeah.
that do work collaboratively, like because
Is
it's
it impossible
inherently
to find a producer who is willing to just go 50-50?
no. And I actually have a friend named Andy who he's always been like he is actually a really good producer and he would be a good collaborator. But
Mm-hmm.
I haven't wanted to have the conversation with him about like splits. So we did a
Right.
song together but it's never been released because I don't want to have the conversation about like a lot of producers nowadays they try to take songwriting credit because it's another source
Well,
of
why don't you just break it down for him one day?
yeah,
Drink up
exactly,
enough
like just
and talk
bluntly
to him
exactly.
and just
Yeah.
introduce and say, hey, you know what? I like what we do and yada yada yada. Worst case scenario though, and you know a lot about it than I do. So
No, but you're
and
cooking,
it's
keep
and
going.
maybe it's walking on eggshells in a way, but I'm just saying like drink up, right? And then talk to him bring them out for a night or whatever and have drinks, or
That's
tell them
true.
beforehand, hey, I want to talk about whatever, I liked what we did, whatever, but I have a few questions, I want to talk to you about it, whatever, however you want to portray, or put it across. And then you go out and you talk to them and say, hey, I really like what we do, but I've had producers before and they've done this and they've done that, and I don't like it. If you're willing to work with me on this and go this route, I think we can make something really special and go from here. You know what I mean?
Well, you're exactly right. That's a very fucking mature and good. I mean, you're exactly right. It's yeah,
But like I said, I
100%.
don't
That's
know how they are and what what they're trying to
he's a
take.
great
But
dude. I'm just telling you.
well, you'll
I think
find
that,
out how great of a dude he is when
well,
you have
true,
that
true.
when you have that conversation with him, and then
But the
whether
problem
he's
is that
willing.
he would deserve, like, his abilities and his sort of stature in the industry, at least in Sweden, is such that whatever he asked for would probably be considered fair by a lot of people's metrics. My only thing is that now that we've done everything ourselves for so long, I sort of feel like if
Okay.
somebody's going to go on, no, but hold on. If somebody's going to go on, I don't care about the production as much, even though I
Okay.
do care. But if somebody's name who's a producer and he's not actually writing words and lyrics and or sorry and
Right.
melodies, I get a little bit irked because it's like this whole thing is like me and Spressa. That's the core thing, and like I like that sort of badge of authenticity that
Well,
like
yeah, but if
when
and you're
people
doing
see
all
the
the,
co-writers that they see Cole Randall and Spressa Lashai, like, and if
well, you
somebody
should.
else's name is on there, I want to feel like that song would not exist without that person. Like if we had a person who was really like they brought so much to the table, and it's like that song could only exist with
Well,
this
that
person. But if you're just a producer who's like, well, I changed up the beat and I did all this, I don't think that that's good enough to get your name on as a co-writer. It's good enough to be like
Fair
you
enough.
can
So
even
then
have most of the
that's
production,
why
but
you discuss the splits then, and say, I'm doing
exactly.
this, I'm doing all this.
But can I
But you
tell you
play
what my problem with
yeah, but
that
play
is?
the long game with them.
But can I tell you what my problem with that is? Because you're exactly right. But in practice, what I have found can happen in those situations is there's a little bit of an unconscious politics going on, which is that the very notion in some circles, the very idea that I would say that shows that I'm not really a team player. You see what I'm saying? So it almost like
Okay.
in the small world of the music industry, that can kind of go around as
Yeah,
like,
but
oh, that's not really
they're
cool.
that's because they have a bigger ego than you do.
Well, and
And
that's
you
but at the same
have
time, you
to
got to play
introduce
on the
that
same
ego.
sandbox.
You could be the revolutionary, man. You could change the game up. You could play this long game with this producer and get more than what most people do from him in terms of
That's true.
splits and in terms of your what ability to produce what you want or whatever.
That's true. And but he is a good guy, so I could see him doing that just out of understanding where I'm coming from and feeling like, but
And then
also
if you
like,
but like
yeah,
I
go ahead.
but like I but I know I like I said I know I don't know a lot about it. You know a hell of a lot more about it obviously than I do because you do it. And so it's like it's kind of like
No,
either
but
you're
you're
walking either
describing things like on a human level where it's like it
well
doesn't
yeah,
matter if you understand it. It's basically
but
exactly
it just
the
sounds like to
dynamics you're
me like
saying.
when you're talking to somebody like you said of his stature, right, where he's well known and most people are like, okay, yeah, you're the first person to come along and say, hey, this is how it should be, or not necessarily how it should be, but this is kind of how I want it, and I appreciate what you have to give me, but this is what
Yeah, and then you kind
I
of say
want.
take it or leave it because it's
Yeah, and that's where the
we're
walking
already
on
not
eggshells.
doing it,
And that's where the
you know.
walking on eggshells part comes in, though. It's like this guy could seem like your best friend and seem like a really good guy, and then all of a sudden, as soon as you make him feel and you knock his ego down, all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, I don't want anything to do with you."
Yeah, or he could just be like it could also be that I'm way like autistically overthinking it, and then basically like when I bring
This
this
is
up to
very
him,
true.
he'll be like, I didn't even want songwriting credit. Like, of course I'm just producing it. Like that's how fucking stupid it is that
If
I
that's
haven't
the
had this
only
talk.
question you have to ask him,
Yeah,
then just go for it one day, man. I mean, it's not that big of a deal.
I know, and it's just
Here's my perspective. No, but listen, here's my perspective. You knowing me and me knowing you, we both know that we're able to read people and we can read a situation and we can understand where they're coming from and how they're feeling at any given time, right after talking to them for a bit. So we know what to say and what not to say. So if you do this, have this, little interjection with him at one point. It's like you'll be able to read it, and either you're going to do it or you're not going to do it. And it's not you're not going to do it because you don't think it'll work. You're not going to do it because you change your mind because you don't feel like it's the right time.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Because you're not an idiot, you know.
Well,
You're good
try
at
not to be, but
you're good at
occasionally.
reading. You're good at reading people. I mean, we're the manipulation kings. We get this. We get
That's
it.
true. That's true. But the most effective manipulation is not manipulation, right? Like it's
Well,
authenticity
that's why we're such good manipulators, because we do it without knowing it.
without knowing it. I you're not
It's the best
entirely you're not
manipulator.
wrong. You're not wrong.
That's the most narcissistic trait we could ever have, is being able to.
Well, that's true, but what also like what is like now you get into semantics about like
Oh, here we go.
well what no, but what does it mean to like if I manipulate an object, that means I made it move. So if we actually because and the reason I say
Okay,
this
but
is because
okay,
no,
now
but
you're
think about it.
getting.
Hold on. Don't dismiss this because the reason that I'm saying it is because
Doesn't
sometimes
even make it, dude. That
the
is a
language we
fallacy, and it's
use
what we're talking
no,
about.
hold
You're
on.
creating a
The le-
fallacy.
Psychologically, the language that we use can create an emotional impression that will cloud or color the intended meaning. So yeah, we are good manipulators, but that's not really like I think the word most people associate manipulators with like malignant narcissists who are manipulating to just basically like
Right, but that's what the industry is about. You got to get you.
well,
That's where
not
you've got
exactly,
to.
not exactly. No, because I think there's also the broader sense of like what does it mean to manipulate? It means to be able to affect change or movement. And
Right, but
that can
it's not like you're taking it another step and trying to gaslight the person.
no, exactly.
You're
But
just trying to
most people
subtly
associate
plant a
manipulation.
seed and introduce
I
something like we did the last time, like you did the last time we talked, when we went over those emails, and you're like, okay, you got to look at it like this, and then you planted this seed where it's like, hold on a second, now look at it this way because of this, and I'm
yeah,
just like, well, now I can only think about it this way. So it
yeah,
totally
yeah,
changed my way of thinking. It's not like
yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
see it, but it's like, okay, and like it was something that was on my mind, so it wasn't necessary. But as soon as, because I
Well,
knew
you
what you were
bring
going
up
to
an
say,
important point.
as soon as you said it, I was like, oh Christ, now I have to look at it
No,
this
but see
way.
that's an important point because it's that's an example of I would agree that in a way, but see that's an example of what I would call like I guess we have to differentiate. We have to find a different word, like persuasion, or not even persuasion. It's not persuasion. It's like because it's not an intellectual thing. It's
No,
subconscious.
no, it's
So
not
it's
manipulation either. But planting a seed, when you talk about planting a seed, a lot of times it's a malevolent type of
well,
thing that
yeah,
somebody's doing, in terms of when you're doing
planting.
it when you're doing it for a motive, right? When you have a motive and you're planting a seed.
Well, no. Okay, no. We got to get more specific. It's when
How is that?
you're
How do we got to get?
yeah, because it's not just any motive. Everybody has a motive because that just
Well,
means
right,
that's
but
an intention. If you have an intention, you have a motive. So everything you're
right.
doing is a motive in a sense. So no, so we have to go
So that's
like
what I'm saying right now. That's
i-
what you got to have with this guy. And
if your
maybe his dick
motive,
isn't as big as
hold
John
on, hold
Cena's.
on.
We don't know
If
how
your
big John Cena's dick actually is.
hold on. If I just got to get this out for if your motive is for me the calculus is if my motive actually is a win lose. Like if somebody has to lose,
Then it's not a motive.
no, but then that to me is that's more
That's
like a
that's
motive,
no,
like
that's
when
not a
we
motive. If you
in the way
because if
you
you're
mean it.
talking about, okay, not necessarily, because if you're talking about win or lose and you have a motive, your motive is not to lose. To have a
No,
motive,
but
you're
you when
trying.
you said
But
motive, you
yeah,
meant
but
more
when
like a scheme, like oh plotting something, a
no,
scheme.
okay, yeah,
Or that's what I took it as. I mean, that's
but if you have a motive, right? When I think of motive, I think of um
ulterior agenda. That's what I
right.
think of. Don't
Okay.
you?
Yeah, but see, when you bring
See,
up
that's the
when
point.
you yeah,
Ulterior.
but when you're talking about motive with the option of losing, when somebody has a motive, their option isn't to lose anything. They're trying to succeed and gain something from that motive, because that's their intentional purpose. You don't intend to lose, so you don't bring up something that's like, oh, this ain't gonna get me anywhere. That's not what you do with a motive. The whole point of a motive is to get what you want.
Right, I'm saying, but that's why I want to differentiate because people can the whole business of friendship, society, loyalty, and love, I guess, is that
Okay.
your motives are not in disharmony with the motives of those around you. So where a motive becomes a
Wait,
bad
what do you
thing,
mean? I don't know what you mean by that.
what I'm saying is that like if my motive is in disharmony with my tribe, and my tribe could include you, it could include anybody who is like in my
Oh, so now
sphere
you're
of,
saying you have a motive and I ain't part of that tribe?
no, but listen, the only everything is a motive.
Bitch,
So
bitch,
I'm
bitch.
saying that's why we need a different word, but you mean, to me, you mean something more slippery. And to me, the
Yes,
slippery, here's the
I
slippery
mean
version.
something more malevolent when I'm talking about motive.
Yeah,
Okay, so
exactly,
we're
but
not
you're but
talking
then
about.
you got to hear my baseline. So
Okay.
that's what I'm trying to tell you is that
Can you even play
the
bass?
motive, as you're describing it, which is the negative, right? The negative
Right.
sense of the term motive. That is
Okay.
when your intention is in disharmony with the intentions of those around you. So, in other
You're
words,
talking about having a motive that works with the other person. So then, but
yeah,
how
but
does
no,
that
but
make?
that's how we function. Like, because our motives right now, neither one of us is in a lose position.
So wait, well, right, but so what you're trying
Like,
to
I
say
had a
though is from
motive
a
to want to talk to you, but
coming
I have my own
okay, but
motives.
from a
What are my motives?
narcissistic, yeah, but from a narcissistic point of view, if you're talking about a motive and you're not trying to disrupt any harmony, at the same time, a motive is still trying to disrupt harmony regardless because it is an intention that you soulfully and not selflessly are trying to achieve.
You know, but then you could argue that
You
motive
can't have.
itself is disharmonious. But I don't think we have to go down to that level because that's a question of whether one should even act. So we should not even
Right.
go that deep. That's too many turtles down. I'm saying that if you grant that you should act, then you're going to have an intention and a motive, and your motive, if it's
Should should
harmonious with,
should be
like,
in
what is a
should be in line.
disharmonious,
Should be
okay, a serial killer is the most prominent let's just take that because it's an
disharmonious motive.
extreme. Yeah, it's the most disharmonious
So I see
motive
what you're
because,
saying. Stop where you're going because you're gonna trail off and lose me. What you're saying is you're trying to have a motive that is advantageous to each party.
yeah,
Okay.
and then it's not a motive, then it's more of just like an intention, or I mean, because when
Right.
you say motive, I associate that with the
Yeah.
negative version,
Right. We both
but
do.
both
So
are motives because it's still a
so yeah, but
self-interest.
you can have a good motive and bad motive. You know
Yeah,
what I
exactly.
mean? Like you're
And also,
saying,
you
but
can
okay.
conspire to help somebody. Think
Right.
about it. You could actually literally, I'm not talking in like a
But
twisted
you
way where it's like the elites are like,
but
oh,
if you think
everybody
about it,
will be
if
better
you think
off if
about
we
it in
kill all the
if you think about
population.
it though, if you think about it though in a twisted way,
Yeah.
and you try to and you and you try to justify a motive as something that can be advantageous to both parties, that's still being narcissistic, kind of, in
Well, no, but
my view.
no, but you're accepting that everybody is an individuated entity who has to have, if you don't have self-interest as a primary goal, then you don't even exist long enough to care about anybody else. So
Yeah, this is very
basically,
true.
you see what I'm saying? Like, of
Yeah,
course, self-interest is at the root, but the question is
right.
like, how far do you
How
carry
yeah,
self-interest?
how much of that self-interest is at the how deep does that root go with your
Yeah, and
self-interest?
how much do you let that vine grow once it's the root is always that.
Right.
But it's like, how far do you let the vine that goes straight up the top of the tree go? Because it's like, if you always
I don't
default
think
to that once you have more information and a higher consciousness or whatever, however you want to put it,
right.
uh,
I think it's
that's the
something you and
question.
I need to meditate on this a little bit.
Yeah, but dude, it's what was the main, we got off
I
like
don't
on
remember.
some,
We got off on a fucking rant, man. That was a good rant, though. I enjoyed that.
well, no, but it's not rant, it's philosophy. The question is
Yeah,
though,
this
like,
is
where
true.
was our like foundation that we can go back to as like, oh yeah, and so well,
We were talking about you and Andy and
oh yeah,
an intent to try and
yeah, and you
get
brought
what
up
you
motive.
want, and
Yeah,
I brought up motive, and I said,
yep,
well, play the long game, and
yep.
then somehow we turned it into some malevolent viewpoint, and then
No,
we're
no,
trying.
not a malevolent. No, no, no.
Well,
But
no,
we,
no, no.
no, we,
I think I went that route because it's just
oh yeah, you
I'm the
said, well,
dark.
yeah, you said like,
I didn't say that that's what you wanted to do. I said that's what you
no, of
should do.
course, yeah, exactly, exactly.
I was being like the devil on your shoulder, like the
Not really.
dark
I think
angel.
you also were. I don't even think you were. I think you were also just saying like if there is a motive on either side,
Right.
and then I
Yeah,
would
yeah.
it made me think
And I
about
always
what
feel
is a
like
motive.
you just got to remember though to look out for yourself when it comes to that, because you can have this motive, right? And it's an honest motive, like we talked about. Like
Well,
it's good
that's what we did. We
intentions.
had
It's
to
good in
establish what is
it
an honest
it
motive.
right, and it's good intentions for both people. Like okay, you have this selfishness, not necessarily selfishness, but you have something that you want to gain from it. But in the end, you also need to make sure that the other person is gaining something from
Well,
it.
hold on, hold on.
Hold on.
Like,
Wait, no, on to my wait. Well,
no,
okay,
no, no.
go
But if
ahead.
you get on to the next point, what I'm saying is that it's not necessarily you bring up now this is why it's complicated because we can't reduce this to just
But we're not
simple
bringing this to
axioms.
some subconscious level. That's not what I'm
But
trying
hold
to
on.
get into.
I know, but what I'm saying is that it's not necessarily about getting something that I want. It's also
Well,
about
no,
like
no, no, no. I don't mean it
but
like
let's
that.
just say
Like,
this: preserving something that is while not
yes.
depriving the other person of what they
Right.
deserve.
Well, okay. Well, you're
You
basically
see?
saying exactly what I said in
Well,
different,
no, I'm breaking
just
what you're
different
saying into
wording.
more specific pieces.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So
I think
for
it's
those who don't,
implied. No,
so for
let
those who
me
didn't
clarify. Let me
understand.
clarify this because I think people get mixed up on this, and I think you'll understand. When I do that
Okay.
kind of thing, I'm trying to clarify what I think is implicit in what you're saying. So I'm not trying to say like repeat what you're saying. I'm trying to say this is a breakdown of what I think are the implications of what you're saying. So basically,
Right.
I'm saying like, and then if you say no, then I'll say, oh, no, then I don't actually understand what you are saying.
Okay.
So
So
actually,
no,
I am reiterating what you're
hold on.
saying, but in a more
I
specific,
get what
granular.
you're saying, but yeah. So ultimately, you want to sit down and have this talk with this guy, and you have good intentions. But what I wanted to get to is that you need to make sure to look out for yourself. And even though he seems like this great person, he probably is. You know him better than I do. But this
He's
is
a great
coming
dude.
from a
He is a
third
great
party.
dude.
This is coming from somebody on the outside looking in, and just being a friend and
He's
looking.
a guy of integrity. Yeah.
Yeah, and being and just looking out for you. Like a lot of people can seem that way, and you know as well as I do, when you get into this game, into this industry, people will try and take everything they can and more.
Yeah,
So it's
maybe.
like if you know him well enough, then he shouldn't have a problem with it. But you just have to make sure that he doesn't try to introduce something where you're like, yeah, I don't feel comfortable with that. And then all of a sudden, then that whole now listen, let me finish. Now all of a
Yep.
sudden, you go from having this perspective on this guy where you thought he was a man of integrity, and now all of a sudden you're starting to question what is he really a man of integrity? And that's
It
not
could
up to you
happen.
to then that's
Sure.
not necessarily up to you to decide until you have this conversation with him
That's true.
and he's to see where he's coming from. Like you won't know until you do. And then when you finally do, you will either see what you want, see what you expected or what you hope that the outcome would be, or you're going to end up feeling slighted
Yeah. Very well said.
at
Good point.
some maybe. But
Yeah. No, I
and
agree.
I'm not trying to be negative Nancy or anything. I'm just saying, and I know but you just got to look out for yourself. And it's like,
Yeah, of course, man.
like just like what happened with your last manager,
Well,
and what
yeah.
you know what I mean. Like you looked up to this person as somebody who and it turned out to be somebody who really wasn't who you thought they were. And it took, I don't know how
No.
long you were with them for, years or months or whatever it took, but it was like, okay, this isn't working out. But you had the you were sound of mind enough to say, hey, this isn't working, this isn't, and that was probably a big like decision for you regardless of how you felt and
Oh,
where you
Jesus
were at
Christ.
successfully. So it was probably something that you didn't take lightly, knowing you, but you
Oh,
felt that it
man.
was in your best interest.
Yeah, but that shit stressed me out for years. Like,
Well, right, and that's what I'm saying. And you finally got to a boiling point. You finally got to the point where it's like, okay, this isn't it anymore. And
no,
that's what,
yeah,
and
no.
that's it, and that's you being sound of mind enough to understand that, okay, like a lot of people probably wouldn't do that. They just want to get somewhere, they want to make it, they want to do this, they care more
Well,
about
and then
the
also
money
there's
and
the
they care more.
inertia. There is also the inertia of just like you develop a personal connection and then people like pussy out. And I mean, imagine if I had to fire you. That's how a lot of people think about this stuff.
No,
Like
and I
that,
understand that. That's why I'm saying,
we
like,
did like we got to know this guy so well that it was like, I mean, he was like in a sense like the third member of anything that was business related. He knows about, and then that for us we're very transparent. So it's like we developed like a very personal connection with this guy.
And
So in a,
and that's what I'm saying. That's why I knew you weren't somebody like, okay, you're, and it wasn't something that
well, it was
you
impossible.
took.
I'm surprised we even did it. It feels like a fucking breakup. It's weird.
Right.
It
Well,
is
that, and
really weird.
I understand that, and I know coming from you that's, that's how you truly felt, because that's just the type of person you are especially when it comes to you and, your life. That's something that can heavily affect you, at some point. And it was like, okay, but I mean, it obviously to you came to a point where it was like, this just can't work out, and you had to cut the ties. It's like trying to break up with an abusive ex or something. You know what I mean?
Or even if, I mean, like again, even if it's not abusive per se, but it's where you just feel like we're so incompatible on like once it crosses like a threshold where it talks about where like you get into like the nitty gritty of how do you
Well,
really
right.
feel
And
about
the way you
life,
describe
thing, you know?
and the way you describe it though really sounds like something that you were very close with. And the longer you were in that relationship, the more you realize and the more you notice that this just isn't going to work out. It was like being in a relationship with a girlfriend for 4 or 5 years, and it's like, oh man, this is going really great. And then all of a sudden, 3 years down the road, and you're like, I'm not feeling this. This isn't right. We're not
Yeah.
connecting. We're not here.
But
So
then
I get
also
it.
like staying, but that's the thing that I hate about it is like it's the
Yeah.
equivalent of that, but then staying in the relationship for like two
Right.
years when you know that it's going to end, but
Yep.
you're just too much of a bitch to fucking pull the trigger. Like, because right now, like the relationship that me and Express are in is like, it's always like this kind of crazy open-ended thing because that's what
Right.
relationships are and life is what it is.
Can I ask you a personal question about you
Yeah,
and
well, yeah, of
Espresso?
course.
I was just
Yeah.
curious. Do you guys get along really well, or do you guys ever like have arguments or fight? And when you do, what is the outcome? Like, does it last for days, or is it like in and out, and then you're done with it and you don't
I
care,
would
and then you're
say
back
I
to
would
normal?
I would say with the amount of time that we've spent together, which has pretty much been every day, like I mean, other than when we had normal kind of jobs, but the Sweden was peculiar because we managed to work out like these weekend jobs. There was
Right.
a period where when I first got to Sweden, Espresso was actually working and I wasn't because I couldn't speak the language, didn't have a work permit, and then I was at home like working on music, and it was like the most like I feel like a loser situation you could possibly have. But that being said, the question going, what was the first part of it?
Um,
That was just the
I was just
context. I was just
yeah,
laying
I
out
was just
some.
asking like if you guys well, I'll just start out with one question. Have you answered? Do you guys ever fight?
Yeah. But yeah. So I was gonna say yes, and
Okay. And so, okay,
and we always have, and we actually like we in some ways hate each other with the same ferocity that we love each other. And like there are
right.
like patterns that last for weeks or months or even years that we like can continuously go back to, and that like we have said and experienced with each other some of the most like ridiculous, horribly offensive fights that you can possibly imagine. Yeah, like
Yeah,
said the
okay.
craziest shit.
And
Yeah.
so, okay, so say you guys get in a fight. I guess you said, okay, so when you guys get in this fight, um, are you guys good? Like shortly thereafter and kind of ignore the fact that you just got in a fight and you kind of go back to being normal, or is it something that like lasts an extended amount of time, like a day or
Uh, the,
2 days or
each of us has a different pattern depending on who was the worst offender.
sure.
So like if she has to basically get over it, then that can be a little bit more of a lingering thing that I have to just be like, I know that it's because of this thing, but and again, this is going to go into a lot of just male female dynamics. But
Right.
like I know that this is a thing, and I'm partially annoyed that she's still annoyed, so that can also
Yes.
create tension.
Yeah.
With my stuff, I tend to like forget really fast, and
And
like
I think
because
that
she can say the craziest shit in the world to me, and I can be really like I literally hate her guts, but then
yep.
within like an hour, 2 hours, or especially the next morning, she sometimes has had to remind. She's been like, I'm sorry that I said that. That was messed up, and I was like,
See, that's
what the
really
fuck
cool
did
though.
you say?
You found that's a good woman though, because there ain't no woman, not many women. Obviously, there's one we know, Espressa, but that are gonna come around and apologize the fucking next day. That's
No,
pretty
she does
impressive.
that. I'm not saying she does that every time. I'm
but
saying for her it can last a little
that
longer,
also
but
that also goes to say that your ability to just ignore it though and not carry on and say, well, okay, whatever, I think
Well, yeah.
gives her the ability to do that, because say she did say something, hateful or whatever, and it's like you hate her guts at that moment. It's like, do you go to a point where you fire back and you fucking go off on
Yes.
her too?
Yeah. Yeah, I say
Okay.
really cruel shit to her as well, but I don't want to say
Yeah.
what that is because I don't want.
Sure. No, I'm
You
not
know what I'm
asking
saying?
for that. I
Because,
don't need the
well,
details.
not because I want to protect myself, but because, like, when you say shit to somebody, there is a grain of truth in it, right? So it's like,
To
obviously,
an extent, yeah, at the
what
moment
I'm
in
saying,
time.
like, if we attack each other, it's basically like we are fed up with each other's. In a way, we're attacking each other's vulnerabilities because
Yep.
basically your vulnerabilities are basically what make you fuck up. So that's also why, like, if you're like a Buddhist monk, you basically don't get mad at anybody because you just
Well, how
always get
could you? You
passionate.
fucking have an isolated life though anyways. You can't count that. That's a totally different
Well, no,
level
but
though. Like,
I'm saying, like, if you were like really a
but you
Buddhist
can't,
monk all
but
the
you
time.
can't be a monk and be in a relationship.
Well, I'm saying
So
that,
you
like,
No, I know what
on
you're
some
saying, right?
level,
But
but yeah, but all I agree
you
with
have
you.
to learn to be a monk in a
You can,
relationship.
yeah, I think you could take almost any Buddhist monk and put them in a real relationship, and they would find out quite quickly that they're not as enlightened as they thought they were, because there is something really.
That's the perfect. That's the kind of what I was getting at. Yeah,
I
because
know
I was
that's
gonna
what you're
say,
getting at.
yeah,
Again,
you
I'm
can't.
just saying this was implicit in what you were saying. I know you were meaning that exact
That
thing.
is your word of the day right now. Is implicit. This is
Well,
Cole's
yeah,
word of the
because
day.
it's
Implicit.
not. It's
That's
just that
what.
it actually.
Hmm. Well, what I'm trying to say is, and it's going to be a little
No, but
implicit in what you previously stated, but
you brought up two
I'm,
subjects.
I'm just trying to narrate it to you in a way that I can state to you, so that I'm just kind of stating the implicities and the implications of what
Hey, don't
you have.
fucking make it into word salad. I'm not giving you word salad. You can
I get
watch
it.
this
Well, it
back.
wasn't. I was just, implicitly kind of, trying to state that
No, 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 no,
your
no,
your
no, no, no.
intentions
Okay,
of
okay.
implicit
I'll
are
stop using
implicit.
implicit. Okay, how about this? I stop using
What?
implicit and I break down what I really mean. I'm saying contained within what you're saying is the thing I'm repeating back to you, but it's
Which
more
is what
granular.
implicit means.
Exactly, but if you don't want me to
But you
use
did
the
it
word of
without
the
saying
day,
implicit. So now you're
but
just
some
using him. Now you're still using your word of the day, just in multiple words. So I'd rather
I
just
know,
have
but
you say
the
implicit.
implication when you do a word of the day is that the person is using the word without actually knowing what it means.
No, that's
That's
not
where
what
it
I'm
gets
saying. You're
annoying.
implicating. I know you know what the hell it means. What I'm saying is
Don't say what
I
I'm
didn't know what it
implicating.
meant until about like the last few times you said it, because I forgot. And I kind of assumed, but now that you've said it so many times, I'm smart enough to undertake the
This is
fact that
fucking classic Clinton right here too. This is like when you always said to me like, oh gee, like, oh, another one of your phases. I mean, like, identifying phases.
no, you are. You're kind of like you're in phase of the word implicit. I'm curious
No,
as
but I'm
to next
not,
time
and that's why
when
I
we
think it
talk.
bothers me.
No,
Is
it's a
that
good word though, because you
I'm
sound
only
smart when
thinking
you
about it
say it.
because no, I haven't used that word in a long time. The only reason I said it in this
He's trying
conversation
to
is
use this word because it's his word of
no.
the day
Let me
right now.
tell you why. Hold on.
Now we've got to think about,
Hold
hold
on.
on,
Hold
chat.
on.
Think
The
about, if
word
anybody ever
in
watched
hold
this, think
on.
about how many people are going to watch this. You're going to hear implicit
Hold
a
on a
lot.
second.
And
The
then,
word implicit was implicit from the very beginning.
oh my God. Dude, I understand that you like the word implicit.
No, no, no.
The
But it
fact,
was
but you're
implicit
trying
from
to
the
reverberate.
implicit was implicit from the very beginning
Yeah, it was,
of the
because
conversation.
that's what the whole conversation was an implicit
Yeah,
conversation, because
yeah.
that's what you turned it into, is implicity, if that's even a word.
That
Is
could
that a
be a
word?
good title. That could be a good title for this conversation. Implicity.
How
Is
about
that
that
a
could be the
word?
good that what about the name of the podcast, Implicity?
Oh, that's kind of nice. I like it.
That's kind
Hey, can we
what?
shift focus? I want to talk
Yes.
to that guy over there to your on your
Oh,
right.
okay. Yes, we got to get some focus in on
But
Matthew
hey,
Lowe.
you have to be in on it. But how you
Oh,
doing, man?
I'm doing pretty damn good. Can't complain. Have a steady job, just living the
Yep.
life, living
But
in a camper.
I don't want to hear the top level analysis. I want to know what is a day in the life of fucking when you're climbing those wires. That to me is like that is a job that a lot of people shudder to think about. I don't
I
know.
do.
What's
Oh
that?
well,
I shudder to think
Yeah,
about it.
you
exactly.
just have to you just have to be on game, and just there are certain rules that you just have to follow, and certain principles that if you follow them,
You don't die.
yeah, you don't die. Like you never go phase to phase or phase to ground, and
And if you do, you die. Right?
yeah.
Cole's he's ripping he's taking a rip right now. Jesus Christ, Cole. Matt, could you have mixed
No,
this
I
any
was
worse?
trying to find something.
Is there any
Hold on.
can
Sorry.
you is there more cranberry over there?
No,
Yeah, I see. Yeah, go get it. Hold on. He ran off here for a sec. He'll be back. We
I
need
think
better
it might.
guests.
I think
We need
I
like
think it might-
Asmund Gold on our thing or
bro.
something.
I think it might be the WEED. I had a little WEED.
Dude, people know how to spell. What are you doing? Like if we ever put this public, I don't think anybody's going to take any offense to saying the word weed. But for your sake, since you got to be implicit about it, we'll just spell it out.
I think it was
W-E-E-D.
implicit. Hold on. I think it was implicit in the spelling and the enunciation.
Weed. You should just spell out Mary,
Mary
Maryjane.
Jane. Yeah. Yeah, that's hilarious. No,
Yeah, it
but
sounds like it 'cause you're laughing hysterically
I got the
right now. It's
giggles.
funny.
No, and I got the giggles, and it was just like it just hit me at the most inopportune time.
He's
So
got the giggles. You're starting to turn into a bit of a dad. I bet you do that, don't you? When you're like, oh, look, Spresser, she got the giggles right now. So all of a sudden now he's
no, I
got
haven't
the
used
giggles.
that term. I have not used that term.
Well, you just did. That's your first dad experience. So congratulations,
Well,
son.
but I'm talking about the giggles, like when you. that
Bro,
is
who's
a
got the
weird word.
giggles? What the fuck? Why? Who? Why?
Why do you
Why
always
don't you
get
just
so
say
funny
you-
around Matt Lawley? What the fuck, dude? You always they tell Matt. Does he remember when we were? It was literally at Matt. It was at your place. Like Spressa came and Clinton for some reason gave like I don't know. I wouldn't say Pulitzer Prize winning. Yeah, I don't even know if a
Comedic-
comedian has won Pulitzer Prize, but
a once in a
that-
lifetime comedic routine that Cole
yeah,
didn't
he
record,
did like
by the
that
way.
thing like if Stairway to Heaven had been recorded and then somebody was like, dude, I forgot to load the tape in.
Oh my
And it-
God. Why do you do why I think you get your jollies off knowing that that was a once in a lifetime moment for me.
No.
And the only thing we have left of it is to remember parts of it because that's all we can remember. Like that was
Yeah, all I
a
can remember
viral
is what it
video
made
right
me
there.
feel. All I can remember is what's that?
That was a viral video right there. Like that was
Oh, dude, no,
God,
you
that
had
was
a
good.
viral. No, you had a viral set. That was Netflix.
Yeah, dude.
You could have put that shit
Jesus
on
Christ.
Netflix.
Oh
But
my
that's
God,
the thing
it
is
makes
like,
me sick.
but I
You
don't
know what I
understand.
did do though? You know what I did do though? I it was a long time after, but because that happened, somewhere I think on my old computer I have a document where I went down and tried to remember everything I said, and so I have all the jokes written down somewhere.
No.
I've got like a
Oh,
whole fucking I got like
really?
a couple pages of jokes for a comedy routine. I
Oh
have
my
yet
God.
to.
Okay, so okay. Here we go. You need to study that, and then we need to get somebody to like either we do it like this and just let it be raw and real because now with AI coming, everything authentic is going to be, the thing.
Yeah, they're gonna be like, God, that guy looks great. Is he AI? Like, I don't know, man.
No,
Maybe.
no. That's
But
not
no,
what
I
I
know
mean.
what you mean. Yeah.
You know what I mean, because in the end,
Yeah.
you can see it already. Like I've been seeing all these YouTubers that are starting to blow up that are like, just back to like YouTube in 1990 fucking 9 or whatever, whenever they first launched.
Hey, you remember? You remember when we posted those videos of us lifting weights on YouTube way back in the day, and we had like 20,000 some views from
Yeah,
all the
what the fuck
pedophiles?
happened to that, dude?
I can't find them. I've looked. They've
Did
got
we?
to
I
be
bet
there
we
in the
got
depths.
self-conscious and privated them or something.
No,
Like,
we didn't. We did not. They're still there somewhere, dude.
are you sure I was involved in this? It could have just been you, or like you and somebody else, because
Well,
you
I know
also.
you were there. You may not have participated, but I'm almost positive that you did. And we were like lifting our like my little 20-pound dumbbells or whatever, and we were like just being stupid and like flexing and oh yeah. And we posted it on YouTube, and it ended up like actually blowing up. I think one of the videos had like 50K views. Granted, it was probably all a bunch of pedophiles, but still, it's funny. Because like back in that day and age, 50K views on YouTube was pretty legit, bro.
Yeah, because I mean, how many people are even on the goddamn platform?
Right. Like
It's so fucking
I
crazy.
know for a
Why
I
were
know
we
for a
so
fact
dumb?
one of those
Why? See,
videos
that's the thing. Why were we so fucking dumb?
because
Because
we were more carefree.
yeah,
We
but
weren't
that's exactly
adults
the
yet.
same, dude. There's no, but listen, that's the same fucking problem that I think this plagues actually creative people is like, because to be creative and spontaneous, you have to be in the moment. And then you have to develop this other part of your brain that's like, but I must capture this. Like, if
No, you
people
know what
find that so
I
hard
think
to
well
navigate that.
you know what, I can reiterate on this because I agree, like there's all kinds of shit I do on a daily basis that's just fucking
Yeah,
retarded and hilarious and stupid. But the
yeah,
moment I feel like I'm on camera or know I'm on camera, I
exactly,
can't do it. And
exactly.
so it's
But
like
people, you can
doing this.
develop it like a muscle. I
Well,
think
that's
you
what and
can.
that's what I'm saying. Like doing this podcast, right? Like even the first time we did it, I was like, oh God, we're actually filming this and we might do something with it, right? So I was like kind of weird at first, and then I kind of eased into it. And now with this one, it's more or less like, okay, you know,
Yeah,
you don't even really realize it anymore. So it's something that you have to develop. But I think that's the thing that mostly really holds me back from a lot of things I wish that I could do to become some sort of you know, something in terms of that anyways, because I got a lot of crazy talents, dude. Like
yeah. I know, I
I've
know.
always wanted to get into voice acting and stuff, but that's really hard.
Exactly, but also think about it like actually this is what we both have to realize. Everybody has to realize this is that the voice acting thing, like everything else, it's it would be like me saying like 10 years ago, 15, 12, 13 years ago saying,
Don't work on me.
I've always wanted to get into making music. I really should get I should get signed to a record label. Like you got to do the thing before you do the thing. You know what I'm saying? So you got to, and that's where YouTube is perfect because you could do shitty videos where you're doing voice acting. Like you could have characters. And yeah, it sounds corny, but it's like, what would you need to do to make it not feel so corny? What would you need to do to make a really simple concept not feel corny? That's the real thing that we have to meditate on, and I have to meditate on that. I'm still thinking about that. I have a bunch of ideas for things because I'm also thinking like we're entering a period of real authenticity. So things don't have to be
Yes.
overproduced, don't have to be overpolished because AI is going to be able to overpolish and overproduce and whatever everything all the
I
time.
think right now what you're getting at, you're very right. Just looking at the way the landscape is, especially in the United States now that Trump's been elected and all this,
Yeah,
things
exactly.
are starting to go back to
Transparency and authenticity. Yeah.
transparency, and things are starting yeah to go back to that transparent thing. So I think people nowadays, um a lot of YouTubers and things like that have realized that too, though. And so it's becoming more like, okay, authentic people and authenticity in what you're doing is more important than something that's not you or not authentic, I guess
Yeah,
to say.
exactly, exactly. And there will be a market. Like let's compare it for, I like analogies because it helps me understand things and it helps all of us understand things. Okay, let's compare let's say radio, like what would you think of as like give me an like for you a really authentic band or whatever. Like yeah, like an authentic like artist band, whatever. Somebody that like you really
Eminem.
like. Yeah, Eminem. Okay, Eminem, you know that he's writing his lyrics, you know that he's like in the driver's seat, right?
Yeah.
Um, well,
I-
okay,
I've always
Eminem.
appreciated him for that, though.
Yeah, exactly. But okay, give me a different example because
Yeah.
you're not helping my point.
Okay.
Eminem is an anomaly.
Jelly roll.
Jelly Roll. That's a good one, actually, because he's very mainstream, but his music is actually he's very authentic. Even I don't mind him that much.
Okay. All of these are great examples because the point is consistent regardless. Okay, Eminem, Jelly Roll, all authentic, right? At any given time, though, how many of those people make up the market? Like if you compare it to everything else you're hearing, you're looking at all the major pop bands, all this kind of stuff. Like if you look at even those guys though, Jelly Roll. I mean, I don't know about Jelly Roll. I haven't looked, but I'm guessing that he's got a ton of like industry co-writers on his music. So like most of the music you're already hearing, this is what I've been thinking about with like AI and stuff, is
Right.
most of the music that you hear on the radio or like in the mainstream is already basically written by a committee. So it basically is like a
Right.
basically a super mind. It basically
Well,
is
yeah, with
already
a bunch of
AI.
people in the industry, it's like an AI, but not AI.
Yeah, exactly. So what I'm saying
Yeah.
is that like though weirdly enough, the people that are at the top are the first to get replaced in the music industry because it's pretty easy to replace music that's been made by like 10 people all having to please each other and all get their credit and whatever. And then you end up getting a sort of really, really catchy and good song, but that has kind of been sort of generically run through this filter of like, you've heard the expression too many chefs in the kitchen. It's like
Yeah.
there's so many things where like when you have a bold idea, if you're in a room of even 2 or 3 other people, let alone like the 10 that you see on like major pop songs,
Right.
you get somebody who's like, nah, that's a little bit too out there. Oh, that's weird. And then somebody else is like, yeah, I agree. That's a little bit too out there. So all the truly innovative stuff, I mean, it has to pass a committee. And then sometimes the committee is very enlightened and like cool people. And like, yeah, you get really good songs coming out that are going to stand the test of time. But a lot of it is just basically like, in a weird way, boiling down to like the lowest common denominator of what the group of songwriters agrees on, and that's not really great for making really profound music. So, but I
No,
think
it's
so.
not. Well, see,
Basically, when
that's
you
why I appreciate
AI,
you though, because that's
well, you
one
don't
thing
even have to
I
say that,
know about
but
you is that you are a true artist. Like you're like the old school musician, right? You you want your stuff to be, you don't want to be like everybody else. You want, of course you want your stuff to like succeed and gain traction,
I
but you
want it to
want,
resonate. I would
yeah,
hope that it would resonate. Yeah.
yeah, you want it to be something that is meaningful and impactful and something that people see as different because you're not doing the same shit everybody else is doing. And that's I think the most important thing. And I think that's probably the best quality about you because you could be like everybody else and sell out. You know
Well,
what
I
I mean?
appreciate you saying that, but yeah, it's almost like sometimes I that feels more like in a like almost an autistic. I don't want to use autistic because everybody's like this is like the big trend of talking about autism or whatever. But just if we say a marker of characteristics, it's like this is the thing that it 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 uh, it almost feels like that arrives as like a what was I gonna say? Uh, it's not so much about not trying to like I don't even expose myself to a lot of like I don't listen to a lot of things that are currently relevant. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
I don't want to know what I'm not supposed to copy, or like I don't want to know what I'm supposed to copy. I don't even hear it.
Yeah, but you don't, but you, even if you knew, you
Yeah,
wouldn't
exactly.
want to.
Even if I knew, but of course, like I
But if
one
you
also has to.
knew, then I have the feeling that if you
No, I
knew,
agree. In
it would make
principle,
it worse for you to be able to produce
yeah,
something
yeah,
that you want because you'd be like, okay, I heard this and this is going really well, but I like this, but and then you're sitting there back and forth on what you should change and what should be different and how it should be
yeah.
just
No, no,
because
no.
you're comparing yourself to something
It,
that's, you know,
exactly. But there is also inspiration, and
yeah,
what I'm
that's
saying
true.
is that
Yep.
I would rather be inspired by the only thing I listen to is like playlists of things. I actually have a playlist that I started working on years ago that some people actually follow, which is kind of funny. But
That's cool.
it's all just like you would recognize most of the songs. It would be stuff
Yep.
that is relevant to us, and
Right.
then there's some stuff. And this is a weird thing that I struggle with that I think it's good to say out loud is like there is of course a part of me that is like still understanding because you have to wear many hats, right? And you're like, but I
Yeah.
am still in like I am still competing, unfortunately, you know.
Yes.
But at the
Yes.
same time, like if I don't want to compete, I can just never release anything, and I can just listen to it myself and let it be on a hard drive and whatever. And there is a lot of that stuff. But
Yeah.
when you're in the realm of competing, you do have to put on that hat,
Yep.
and then you have to remember what you were saying.
You're talking about you've got some songs probably in the works, and we're talking about being able to individualize yourself in the industry through inspiration,
Oh
but you still
well,
have to
no,
wear
no,
you still have to put your hat on and compete and maybe take a few things that you may not necessarily agree with, but
Well, that's not even what I was gonna say, but
incorporate.
I think there was some background noise that
Bro,
was that
do
actually.
you have a filter on right now? Because you're for. Oh wait, okay, no, dude. The position you were in, because of the hat, the way you had your head, you looked like you were bald. Like you look bald right here, and then you had hair.
Well, here's the thing.
There you go. Keep the John Lennon. All right, let's go,
I've
John.
always had a very high forehead. And it's funny.
No, but it was
I
just
can,
that position because your hair was like non-existent, and you look like that guy off of Last Action Hero, the bad guy, that old dude who had like bald straight through the middle of his head, and then he just had the hairs on the side. Like
I
I don't
mean,
remember what his
Jesus
name was.
Christ.
But anyways, Last Action
Last
Hero. Come
action
on now.
here. Oh, here we go. Are we getting off this subject? Because there was more to be said, but
No,
I've lost it completely.
I don't remember now what happened.
We'll have to roll the tapes back eventually, but
We can
fuck,
get
what
back
Matt
on the
Lawley?
subject.
Maybe Matt Lawley knows.
Matt Lawley, what are your 2 cents on the on our
Are you still
conversation?
processing our conversation, or are you gonna have a meta analysis of like just this whole overall thing? I seriously want to know like where your head is at right now. And if you think we're absolutely mentally ill, that's also a valid like opinion.
On
Wait, say again.
I'm a little bit buzzed right now, so I wasn't
Oh,
following
okay,
along
okay.
too well.
All right. No worries, no worries.
Okay. Have you enjoyed listening to us ramble?
Yes, it's been very enjoyable.
Well, that's a good
Yeah,
sign.
it's almost been like we've basically been like when you go and like meditate and somebody's like, oh, someday.
Oh.
Funny because it's true. He's basically
Just
been just sitting there zoning out and just hearing like so. Dude, you got to join it.
Well, I've been thinking deeply about everything, and yeah,
Matt's,
No,
yeah, he's been thinking
I'm saying
very deep.
Clinton, but
What?
hold on, Clinton, do the interpret. Like, let's translate. Like, let's. I want to just the two of us to right now reenact what Matt was hearing, and then we continue on with what he was going to say.
Okay. Basically, hold on. Let me take a rip of this. This was.
No. We're talking just in ohms.
or
Okay. Oh. No. Matt Lawley. No. We can't. We got to make sure we don't take this on for too long because if people actually watch this, they don't want to hear us do that for too long.
But here's the thing: if they do watch
What?
us and they hear us doing that, they will have a download of everything we talked about. Because
All right,
we
so
just
maybe one little more snippet because I feel like they'll be like, actually, we kind of want to do that. Shit's retarded, and they want to hear it like a little bit more. So, yo, my now you Okay, we're good. We don't want to.
Yeah, that was.
we don't want to.
I think
We don't want.
that was everything we
I
just
felt like
talked
I
about
was
for the last-
connected to you ohm wise. Like we were ohmly connected, bro. Like I felt
Bro,
like there
if
was
we-
some
if we
serious
posted
ohms
that-
going on.
I'm gonna put money on this. If we
Okay.
post that, somebody's gonna be like, I just you actually did just I was just listening to this on mushrooms and you guys don't even know what you just did. You don't even know what you just said.
Oh my god.
You gave me a download. We're gonna get some like the next Neo.
Oh
The next
shit.
Neo is gonna be
I'll tell you what's gonna happen. The CIA's coming at us with those ohms, bro.
Yeah, we're gonna see a paper leaked in like the next 2 administrations that's gonna come out and say, you know what, subject of interest because they picked up on the ancient Atlantean language.
Ohms.
Yeah, dude.
The ancient meditative Atlantean language of ohming.
Yeah, but what if people actually like? Why wouldn't that be a way to
You know
talk?
what?
Like,
You know what
you're
would have
just
made
like,
that ohms even better though? Like, yeah, I'm semi-buzzed, but you know what would have made it even better if I was high and we were ohming? I guarantee you, we would have been having a very intellectual conversation straight through ohms, and we would have known
oh
exactly what
yeah,
the fuck we're talking about.
yeah,
And people
yeah.
that are, if they ever see this, and like, they're gonna be high, and they're gonna understand exactly what we were doing.
Well, let me
I
tell
have
you
a
something.
feeling. I think they're gonna understand completely. What?
Hold on. Do I have things in there? No.
8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2,
Can you
3.
still
It's like,
hear me?
yeah,
What time is it there?
3.
It is
2 or 3, isn't it?
it's actually 2 in the morning.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So he actually, now this is another subject we could get on at some point, is that he actually lives in the future. So
Wait, he actually what?
you live in the future.
Oh, technically, yeah.
Yeah. He
Let me
lives
see if
in
I
the
can turn my
future.
camera around because I'm about to pee.
Because right
And then
now it's
I
already the
want to
next.
see because I'm gonna go on this
I want.
mountain.
Hey,
I'm gonna
hey,
climb on this mountain to pee.
Mr. Randy. Hey. No, but he's literally living in the future right now.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh wow.
Dude, this is oh my God, I want to piss off that. That would be amazing.
What town is that?
I wish I had headphones in so I could hear you guys.
Oh, I think he's in, I don't know. I think he's in Stockholm.
I am in Stockholm and I'm on a mountain.
That's wild. Bro literally gets to piss off of a small mountain.
I'm gonna pee now.
Show
There's a building. There's more buildings.
Show your wiener.
No, I'm not gonna do that.
We want to see it.
Wouldn't want to embarrass you boys. No,
He's got a pretty good sized wiener, actually. Cole's got a good
I'm
wiener.
joking.
I
I'm
remember it.
completely kidding.
Yeah.
But look at those cloud
Even Matt
formations.
remembers it. It's so
Yeah,
good.
it was pretty good size.
Oh, thanks, man. I mean, everybody's got their moments. You know what I'm saying? Like, it depends
Yeah.
on the,
It does.
I mean,
Yep.
it does.
It really does.
It really does.
Most
But,
days I'm not, but some days I look down and I'm like, damn, you're looking pretty good today.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly.
You know? No BBC over here, but hey, it gets the job done. And that's what matters.
That is actually literally what matters. Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, dude, tell me more. Tell me more about what you've been up to. Either one of you boys.
Go
Just
ahead,
give me
Matt.
Not much. Just going through woman issues and
It's okay.
just
You don't have to
working.
be nervous when you're on camera.
I'm
It's
not.
fine. Just
yeah,
gotta
plus I
relax
can't
a
see
little
you right
bit.
now because I have to hold the phone to
Yeah.
my ear.
Yeah, he's old school that way.
You're still peeing?
Jesus Christ.
Dude, I've been sitting in my car. I mean, I can't just go to the bathroom in the middle of the
I've been
conversation.
just sitting in
30-second piss already.
Bro, oh my God, are you still peeing?
I'm shaking now. I'm dribbling.
Oh, he's old, so he's shaking.
There we go. All right, you guys got me?
Yeah.
I'm climbing back down.
Look.
This isn't necessary, but I'm doing it anyway.
No, that's
I could just
cool,
go
though.
around that way where there's like grass and trails.
But you're trying to look cool, show off a little bit at the Stockholm stockade, so I get it. That is actually a pretty sweet ass view. Like, I wouldn't mind, like, if I lived there, I honestly would wake up every morning and say, all right, babe, I'm gonna go out and take a piss. And I'd piss right off the rocks every morning and just
That's
take it
actually
in.
a great idea. What the hell?
I don't know. What do you mean you haven't done that yet? How have you not done that yet? Like, how have you not just taken a week and a load off and just go outside every morning and just
pee?
fucking piss right off the mountain?
These are good questions, man.
Like, you're taking that mountain for granted right now. And that mountain's
true.
probably trying to tell you something at this point. I think that's why we talked tonight. That was Mountain wanted me to tell you that you need to piss off him more often.
Yep, I
Or
agree.
her. I don't
It's a
know
good
if the mountain
mountain.
is a he or a him or a her or a mountain or what it is.
Hold on a sec.
Maybe it's a trans mountain and it's a woman and it's got a dick. I don't know.
What kind of car are you driving?
What kind of car are you driving?
A really old Buick?
Same. I drive an old Buick. Actually, I drive an Oldsmobile. It's a 1997, and I drive it every night in my dreams. Every
And he runs it into the snowbanks.
Oh my God, Matt. The one
Yeah.
time that I ever went on a fucking snowmobile ride with anybody, I still tell people the story. Do you remember we were on East River Drive and you were driving me on the snowmobile and then you went sideways on the snowmobile and then we both crashed into a tree and the snowmobile kept going? Do you remember that? You were going slow enough that we didn't die, but you
Holy
flipped
shit.
over the snowmobile sideways. And then I was like, fuck this. And then I just ran back to Clinton's house on foot. Or maybe you convinced me to get back on, but I don't remember that part. And then you must have gone really slow. But do you not remember that?
No.
Because that was the last time I ever got on a snowmobile. So I remember that.
What?
Yeah,
There's so
dude,
much
you were
fun,
like,
dude.
you were like, you can trust me, man. And
Oh
and
my
blah, blah,
God,
blah. And
yeah.
I was like, yeah, but I don't know if I
The
can trust you, Matt Lolly.
Those are the
And,
last words you'll ever hear with Matt Lawley. You know, he did the same thing with me on the back of his crotch rocket. And I'm like, Matt, do not do anything stupid. Don't do any dumb wheelies or anything like that. Just fucking, I'll ride it with you, whatever. Fucking dude goes off and he's like, just hold on, Clint. I'm like, Matt fucking does a wheelie and I almost fall off the back of the fucking crotch rocket. I'm like, dude,
Okay, guys.
seriously.
Yeah, that doesn't look. Yeah.
This
well,
fucking
no,
guy.
it's no judgment, but it's just that it happened. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying?
Yeah, we're not judging. It's just, hey, you know what? He almost killed two of his good friends on two similar different occasions doing stupid things. It's fine.
But to be honest, and I do primarily blame you, Clinton, but just to be honest, I mean,
shit.
at
How do
that
you blame-
stage, it's at that stage the Matt Lolly jokes were definitely at a peak.
Oh, they were at a peak. It did have an effect, but made me tough.
Made him tougher. How do you think he became the #1 diver in Park Rapids High School? It wasn't because he wasn't Matt Lawley.
That's
I'll tell you
true.
that.
You're fucking right, dude.
I made that nigga popular as hell.
If you become the #1 diver, like you don't even get to complain. That's the thing. You know what I'm saying? Like that is like a. That's
But
a
to be honest,
sacred
I was the
vow.
only diver.
I know, that's why that was the joke. Cole probably went through.
I didn't know
Probably
that.
went past Cole's head because he forgot, but that was the joke.
Oh, fuck.
Sorry, guys.
Okay.
Sometimes I'm on the jokes, man. All right, Matt, that's enough.
Jesus.
Settle down.
No, I'm actually a little bit.
I
I'm
did break.
embarrassed.
I did break Detroit Lake School record though, so
You were actually pretty good.
I was decent.
Yeah, dude, I remember you being pretty good. Honestly, I do.
Yeah. I mean, granted, he was the only one, but he was still pretty good.
No, but I mean, honestly, like he was definitely like out of all the divers that I met in Park Rapids, like, and that's the thing.
Well, okay, if
Definitely
you're
the best.
breaking a record, granted, Matt, like you broke a Detroit Lakes diving record. I mean, granted, probably like
It wasn't that good, but
I know,
broke it.
but like two other people probably dove like the last 20 years, and you broke that record, so that's good.
It's one win for me. It's one small win.
One small win for Matt, one giant win for Park Rapids High School.
Baby steps to success.
Yep. What, Cole?
What you're playing with fire right now, man. You're
Who, me?
playing with fire. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Don't bring them. Don't do it. Don't do it.
I'm not gonna. You can't make me do it by trying to tell me not to do it.
I'm
You
saying
can't.
like,
You can't manipulate a manipulator.
bro.
You
Now
remember-
I'm worried that you think I'm manipulating you, so then you're manipulating yourself now.
Yep.
Okay, guys.
No, Clint, it's happening.
You can't manipulate me by telling me that I'm being manipulated by myself on the counts of that I think you're trying to manipulate me. I am not being manipulated by your manipulation right now. It's not happening.
I have thin cigarettes.
Oh,
just
look at
wanna
that.
bring-
Hey, look, it's fucking Coella DeVille.
Oh my god. You need to get that name out of your head, bro. Don't. Nope. We're not gonna
Well,
go with that one.
Oh, shit. It's on now. Don't you cut that out. Don't you dare cut that out. You can't cut out the best parts of the video sometimes.
No.
That's a good one.
Right. You have to be real. It's within moderation. Within
Yep.
moderation.
And that was moderated. That was moderate enough. Don't you dare
Yeah.
cut that out.
We didn't go any further.
That was a good one.
Espresso made me buy these thin. Okay, so actually, here's the deal. I don't smoke cigarettes. I really don't. But there was a few nights
Oh,
when
where's
I
your
went out.
Dalmatians at? How many you got?
There was a few nights when I went out last night, and
Jesus Christ, he's on the
What?
thin cigarette. This
oh
is
my
his new
god, did I
phase.
just say there was a
Thin-
few nights when I went out last night?
Yeah, that's what you said.
How did you not even call that? How did you not call it? You were so obsessed with your little nickname, you didn't even call that.
What do you mean?
Yeah, but you didn't even catch my like.
You have a
I caught
charger?
it before you caught it. I caught myself before
Caught
you
what?
caught me. Because I said I went out 2 nights last night, and you should have been all over that.
Wait, why would I be all over that? I didn't know because the last
That
time I
sounds
talked to
retarded.
you,
That sounds absolutely ridiculous. But in any case,
think
I
you're
was out a
overthinking
few
it.
times in the last month, and
yeah,
I realized something, which is that the current generation of just like, and I'm out with Espresso, it's nothing weird. The current
Right.
generation of like, I'm talking art, everybody. I'm not talking the young kid. I'm talking everybody, the zeitgeist, the everybody, right? The only place that any interesting conversations happen, and I think it's the same there, is out with the people that smoke cigarettes. Outside the bars.
no,
No, but I'm
that's
saying you go to the bars and it's like everybody inside's like, yeah,
okay. Fair enough.
dude.
That's true.
Yeah.
And everybody goes outside, smokes a cig. But you know what's
And then
funny
all of a
about
sudden-
that?
right, dude, bro, I
No,
just
but
called it
listen
babe.
though. Everybody,
everybody
no,
outside.
everybody that's in the bar though going, and then they go outside, they're normal. But as
Yeah,
soon
but
as those
also-
smokers get back
bro,
inside,
bro,
they're back.
bro, let me tell you what happened to me. I'm talking. This is where remember the French salons where all the intellectuals in France, the philosophers, were hanging out in the cafes and smoking their cigarettes and whatever.
Christ, here he
I'm
goes.
telling
All
you,
right,
no,
hurry up,
here-
Socrates.
Hold
What
on. Here we
got
go
here?
outside. Here we go outside, and we're having
Okay.
these deep conversations, right?
With these thin cigarettes.
With not these thin cigarettes, regular cigarettes, but I'm bumming them. This is what I'm telling you. The reason I
Okay.
bought cigarettes is because I found myself, I wanted to be amongst the smokers so I could have interesting conversations. And when I went out there, I didn't have any. So it was like a thing of being like, I'm so sorry, could I bum a cigarette? And then
Yeah.
everybody always does it. And I realized that's the new thing. Is like in the old days, everybody smoked, so everybody had cigarettes. So it was weird. It was actually really shitty to ask somebody for a cigarette. But now the smokers want you to ask them for a cigarette because ain't nobody out there smoking. And so basically when you ask them for a cigarette, you're now in a whole thing. You can even, like, if I was single, oh my God, if I had known about this, you go up to any group of chicks and you can be like, sorry, can I just grab a cigarette? And then they're like, oh, where are you from? Blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, oh my God, this is like imagine like that versus going up to somebody on the fucking dance floor or at the fucking bar and being like, duh, my name da da baboo, I throw da. And it's like, okay, yeah, cool. But then you're
But
out
if you
there
go
and
up-
you're like,
So
you're
just
like,
go to
hey,
the dance
lady,
floor and be like,
sorry.
hey, can I get a cigarette?
And then you crack a little joke and you're like kind of funny. And then it's like, oh, wow, he's suddenly very attractive. And it's like, all right.
He smokes and he's got jokes.
Whoa, that was good, dude.
Thanks.
See, this needs to go into your fucking stand-up special. So here's the thing. Then I realized, like, okay, karmically, if I'm gonna do that, I got to be the guy that just randomly has a pack of cigarettes that I don't actually smoke, but that I just give them out. So I like now every time me and Espresso, because
Now bro's gonna
normally
go
we
out.
don't, but lately when we have been going out, I buy a pack of cigarettes and then I go out with the smokers and then I just start giving them out. Like I'm like, take 2, take 3, take 4. I just give them out and then I'm just sitting there having conversations.
Oh my God.
Dude, it's the
Bro
best.
buys a pack of cigarettes just to go out and have conversations now.
You
Jesus
can also
Christ.
say that as like, bro can't make friends, so bro.
Bro uses
Like
cigarettes to make
charity.
friends.
Throwing bread at the masses, like, take my death sticks.
Here, pigeons, come talk to me.
Yeah, exactly. It's feeding the pigeons. That's a weird way of looking at it. But except you meet the most amazing and incredible people. But the other day, dude, I met a psychopath.
Oh shit.
No,
you didn't.
Hold on, because they say
Like a
you
true?
can't really. No, yeah, but they say you can't tell. And I would have never said this, but like I would have not assumed it. But I was talking to him, and I even recorded it, which is kind of cool. Like if we actually end up, editing this and turning it into something, I could throw in the audio. I would. This is like insert clip. Okay, bam. I recorded it because I already had it recording so Espressa comes back and she's had like a few beers and she's like, I met the most amazing couple at the bar. They're so cool and whatever. And they come back and I can instantly tell like these are swingers. Like I know right away. And she's like, but she's into this and he's into that. And then the way they're talking about everything, like, yeah, we're really free, you know, like, and I'm like, babe, I texted her. I
Yeah.
was like, babe, these are fucking swingers. And she never saw her phone because she never checks her phone. But then they turned out to be really nice people. Like obviously we have our
But
boundaries and whatever.
they're swingers.
But this, so we're out there smoking. I do
Are
my
you
thing.
a swinger, Cole?
I'm giving no, absolutely, I'm not. I'm giving
Oh,
out
okay.
cigarettes. I'm giving out cigarettes, and then this guy shows up, right? And he's kind of
What'd
like
you do last
he
night? Oh,
looks
I
like
gave out cigarettes.
he looks like a Sith, right? This guy, and I'm saying like in a, you know, I don't mean that in a bad. I'm not. You don't look like a Sith. You look like the
What?
fucking. You literally look like the guy. No, but I'm saying you actually, genuinely, you're doppelganger, and I'm gonna give you a big compliment right now. And this is, because it's true. It pains me, but it is true. No, I'm kidding. The fucking Force Awakens guy. You are that guy. And that is you as a person. Like you
Who the fuck is
ride
that?
that line. No, but remember the Force Awakens video game?
Oh, that guy.
Dude,
I was
you
hoping you were
literally,
gonna say like a hot celebrity or
no,
something.
but
and
you
be like,
guys
"Yeah."
could literally, no, but I'm saying in the Jedi Sith thing, you guys literally could be twins or like at least brothers. And his whole story arc with that fucking game is like that he was trained by Darth Vader, he's a clone, blah blah blah, but then he kind of eventually turns back to the light, which is like the first time we ever got that thing. So he rides that weird line. He's basically a gray Jedi. And I would say that, yeah.
Wouldn't he
So
just be a dark Jedi?
but when I
I
say
mean, he still
yes,
uses
yes,
the
give me a
Jedi
dark
ways,
Jedi.
but
Yeah, yeah, you're a
he's
dark
still for
Jedi.
himself.
You're a dark
Okay.
Jedi. So then
Yeah, let's
this
get
guy,
specific here. Come on.
you can call yourself a Sith, but to the Jedi, you're a dark Jedi. And also
Fair
maybe
enough.
I am too. Maybe I am too. Because I don't
Yeah,
know.
I think you are. The way you've been talking lately about some Star Wars, I feel like you may have turned a little bit in your middle of the ground.
I may have seen through the lies of the Jedi.
Yes,
I'm
you
kidding.
may have. It's about time. I've been
No, but
seeing it
here's
for
the deal.
years. It took you that long?
Here's the deal.
Jesus.
Here's the deal.
Okay.
The deal is, while I gather my thoughts, the deal. Here's the deal. The deal is this.
He totally lost his train of thought.
Cue cards, please. Cue
Uh,
cards.
Psychopath that you met.
Psychopath that you met, Dark
Oh
Jedi.
yeah,
it
so
looks
I
like a
meet
Dark
this guy.
Jedi.
He comes out looking like a true Sith. We're talking to this swinger couple outside.
And
at
he looks like
Barcelona.
he's not even a Dark Jedi. He's a true Sith.
No, but he's like,
Okay, so yeah,
but
he's Sith.
but he's kind of our age, and he's got like really dark circles, and he's kind of like, So he's like a
Okay.
little bit. He's got some issues, but he's kind of like semi-relevant. Like he's not relevant. He's semi-coherent, and he's like, I would say very coherent. He's very coherent, and he's talking to
Okay.
me, and he's like, and he's talking to this big ass muscly guy who's like part of the swinger couple. And
You like
again,
those
I
right there?
hand to God. No, but I'm talking like Viking status where he's
Yeah,
like
I know.
also
I'm
3
fucking
feet
with
taller
you.
than me.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying you're buff, but I'm saying he's like
I'm
towering.
not anymore. I'm dad bod, and
This
I'm
guy
dad bod.
looks like-
Anyways.
Remember Lee Brandstrom?
Yep.
Okay, imagine him, but like bulkier. You know, because
Okay,
of course
and
Lee
taller?
Brandstrom, well, yeah, because we're in Scandinavia. So I even like, I got comfortable with this guy. I even joked with him like after this. I
When
was
the
like,
fuck
dude,
were you in Scandinavia?
I'm in Scandinavia. Scandinavia encompasses Finland, Sweden, Norway.
Oh, that just
Denmark.
goes to show you my geographical knowledge. Okay,
Well,
anyways.
it goes to show you that you're an American. I actually didn't know what Scandinavia encompassed either until I moved here. We were robbed
Now
in
I'm
our
part of that
education.
group. I feel like I'm Swedish now. Shit, I'd come to Sweden and speak it.
No, but you're Scandinavian probably. You have probably a good amount of Scandinavian in you.
No, I'm Finnish.
Well, yeah, but
Like,
so the Finnish are semi-Scandinavian.
okay, so yeah, I'm
They-
Scandinavian because I've got like I'm probably literally like my bloodline. I'm probably like 90% Finnish.
Me too.
Really?
So
Because my
so the
dad was 100% Finnish. But
yeah,
anyway,
so the Finns are on the border of Russia. Ethnically they are closer to Russians, like the what do you call them? Not really Russian, Slavic.
calling
people.
me Russian now?
No, but here's the thing. But Swedish is like a primary language there. Also, they have their own like yeah, they have their way of. I mean, it's they speak a Nordic lange in
No,
some
but I was
sense.
you. I when you and Espresso are
No, they
doing it,
don't.
I'd
They
be like,
don't.
speak
It's
Swedish to
somewhat
me,
Slavic.
baby. What I'd say.
Yeah.
That'd be
Well,
hot.
it's well, yeah, for sure. But actually, in a way, yeah, I get what you mean. It is
Yeah.
actually in a way.
Yeah.
But
Anyways,
but what were we talking about? Oh, the psychopath. So he
yeah.
comes up and he's like, he's talking, and of course, I'm sitting there going like, I'm just giving this guy his, like, I'm just having a conversation, and then eventually Muscle walks out after something he says. Turns out, here's what he says to us. He's talking about his like childhood and whatever, which is like also kind of like I
Who
said.
is the muscle guy or the
No,
other
no,
guy?
no, a psycho guy.
Okay.
He's talking about his childhood. He's talking about his siblings or whatever, and he like, cause somehow I don't know, whatever. It came up about like one's childhood, and then he goes, yeah, well, and then imagine like it's not so fun when your stepdad fucks you up the ass, and I'm like,
Wait, that's what the muscle guy says?
no, 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 psycho guy, and then I'm like, oh, yeah, oh my god, we had this whole conversation. I'm like, oh Jesus Christ, and then he's like, yeah. And then I'm like, okay. And then we're talking, blah blah blah. And then he goes, and then when Muscles leaves, that he leaves at the exact point I could, he realizes subconsciously that this guy's a psycho, but he doesn't know the right way to handle the psycho. In my mind, I don't either, but I'm thinking now I need to redirect his focus because he's probably got this like grandiose sense of self, even though he is kind of pathetic, but he probably thinks he's very grandiose. And so I'm gonna like try to like, now I'm a little bit nervous because I'm like, I don't want to have met this guy, I don't want him to see me around. So I'm going. First of all, I distracted him and said that we lived in the total opposite part of town that we lived, and then I also tried to make him like, because he was like, yeah, this is when he broke the news to me. He's like, yeah, it's too late for it's too no, he said, I have these siblings, and he's like, but it's too late for me. I'm a psychopath. Like I'm a full psychopath. And I was like, this is
So
before
you
no, but this
used
is
your
before Muscles
manipulation
left.
to get away from death.
What's that?
That was the Grim Reaper that night. And you
Yeah,
dodged it by
actually,
using your manipulation tactics.
yeah, I think I did actually. And I
Yeah.
and I was saying to like Muscles, like I
Credit
told
to Matt for that one. By the way, he's like, manipulation. Like he wanted me to say it, so I had to say it.
Anyways,
It's like a little
yeah,
kid.
well
Like,
done. So
manipulation.
Matt
Okay,
is
yeah,
paying
hold on, let
attention.
me get it in here.
See, I think Matt has got a lot more to say than he says, and he's
Yeah, I know.
processing a lot more.
He just gets freaking.
I just have a hard time like spewing it out in an
He just-
intelligent way.
he just gets.
But I can understand it all.
He just gets shy too, though. I mean, granted, you two haven't talked or let alone
No,
seen
but
each
I
other face
understand.
to
I
face for a
understand.
long time. So yeah,
I'm
I
only
get it
not
too.
shy because I'm like 2.8 in. I mean I'm wound up, but
Yeah,
I get
so
it.
are
I
we
get
though.
it.
We're about a full bottle of
UV or
Nice.
goose and gray goose.
Grey Goose.
Oh, nice, nice. Well, so this guy is telling me he's telling me that he's a psychopath. But here's where it's really creepy. So before this whole thing where I redirected his focus and got him off, he goes, "You sound American. Are you American?" And I'm like, "I'm actually from Canada." I'm really
no shit. I
I'm
agree
really
with that statement.
right. I'm really trying to throw him off my scent. Also, just even like thinking like, "Oh, American guy," but I just don't want him to have a profile, right?
Right,
And yeah,
right.
like you said, even like I think what you're implying is like just even the politics now. It's like America ain't
Yeah.
as popular as it was a few years ago. I mean,
That's not actually what I was implying, but
I
just be
I
expressed
support. I really
subconsciously.
do support a lot of the whatever. It doesn't matter. Okay, let's not get into this. What I was gonna say is
Next session.
maybe not, but because it's really like
Yeah,
hot
but it
potato.
would be a good one. I don't have a lot to say, but I have a lot of blanket statements to give you, so that's good.
Exactly, and so do I. Agreed. But so
Okay.
this guy says this, and I go, and then he goes, "Yeah, where in Canada?" And I'm like, I think I said Winnipeg, or I said Manitoba. I said, so the first thing I could think of, right? And
Hey,
he was like, "Oh yeah, the capital." And I was like, "No, it's not the capital." And he's like, "No, it's not the capital." So I was like,
bro,
and dude, I swear to
no.
God. And then he was like, "Yeah." And I go, and I have the recording. I actually have the recording because I showed Espresso this. I was like, you wouldn't believe it because it was only me and him. Nobody else was like
No
listening.
way.
And I go,
That is
uh,
creepy.
and I go, No, because I knew that wasn't
So
the
he was
capital.
he was onto your scent a little bit.
Exactly. And I go, no, I know that's not. No, I was like, that's not the capital. And he's like, yeah, no, of course not. That's not the capital. The capital. And then I said fucking Toronto, and it's not the fucking capital. I didn't even realize it was Ottawa because I didn't realize that until like 'cause I was so convinced. I was so
Bro,
convinced.
you should have fucking like playfully been on your phone just to look quick while you were fucking talking to him, just so you got it right.
I know, but
You
then
probably
he was
didn't think
literally.
about that though.
He was literally like saying this stuff. He started saying like he said like Manitoba, Ottawa, Toronto, and blah blah blah. And I was like, Toronto, and he was like, kind of like that.
No.
I swear to God, he didn't do it like that. But if you, I'm sort of paraphrasing
Right.
his.
Yeah.
If I showed you him, you'd be like, oh, now I understand this guy. But it's
Right.
not exactly like what you're getting from me because I can't even imitate this guy at all. But the vibe I was getting was kind of like, I got you. And I literally looked at him. I was like, this is the psychopath stuff, right? And then he was like, so in a way, I sort of called him on it, like in
Yeah.
that moment. But I also exposed myself because I was saying, I'm admitting that I'm lying because I'm now breaking the fourth wall and looking at you and
Yes.
going, oh, yeah, you psychopathed me right now. So in a weird way, I got a one up on him, but at the same time, I didn't. It was
You
basically a
psychopathed
stalemate.
each other.
Yeah, basically. And then
You
I was just trying,
psychopath.
but I couldn't explain it to these people because I was like, to understand oneself, it means you kind of have to understand. It's like we talk about psychology and stuff. You have to
Yeah.
really try to understand the psychopathic mindset. And
Right.
when you look at enough patterns of these criminals, you see them interviewed in jail and all that. I mean, it's not like it's purely self-reflection. It's
Well, no, but
literally
they're very good at manipulating the way they view the world, in a way that justifies for them that they're not in the wrong.
yeah, exactly.
I remember watching a video. This will be a short thing or whatever.
No, please go ahead.
But I just remember watching a video, and I wish I could find it again because I wanted to go back and watch more of it, but I haven't been able to find it again. But I came across this video on YouTube, and they were interviewing like a serial killer or like who they called like a literal like psychopath, meet a literal psychopath, whatever. And I can't remember the specifics, but they were just asking him questions, like really based questions on life. And it kind of gave you a glimpse into their mind of how they viewed the world. And and the way he would answer a question was so significant in terms of like, okay, yeah, this dude is like coming from somebody who's semi normal, isn't a complete psychopath and has like a base reality on what's wrong and right.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, yeah, the way the guy, like they would ask him a question and say, okay, you did this and you did that, why, yada yada yada, and he had some really like elongated answer that to
and bro, look, you're talking to a guy who has elongated answers,
But he made sense. Like it made sense. And I'm just like, wow, well, I could see why you can convince yourself to think that. But you could just see all of his very narcissistic traits and like where he's coming from, because it was like, the question he asked, is like, it's like a right or wrong answer. And he gave a wrong answer, but justified it in such a way that made it right, that it made sense even to somebody like me or you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Like
sense. You can see
that
through
makes
it,
total sense.
but it made sense, and you could see how they believe what they believe.
Yes, basically. And there are different, like, I would say it's like a spectrum, like we talk, like, when you think about autism, or for instance, like Spress's brother.
Well, we move on from implicit now. He's on this autistic kid. Cole
does he like WWE?
Hey, okay, hold on. What?
Does he like WWE?
Who?
Her brother.
Yeah, why do you know that?
Why do you know that?
Does he really?
Yeah, why do you know that?
Because all autistic people love WWE. I met this one autistic dude, and I was biking, and he was talking to me about this WWE event that was going on. And
Are you
then
threatening me right now, Matt Lally? Are you threatening
no, my
me?
coworker has an autistic brother. And then I was like, does he love WWE? Then he's like, how do you know that? And then I just
Well, why? Wait. Now you
I
just
just
recreated the same exact.
yes,
Wait, hold
exactly.
on.
So you just did the same thing that he did. So I feel like all a majority of autistic people love WWE. It's just
I love that I know exactly what. And dude, Clinton,
yes.
I know exactly what you're fucking thinking about, and I know exactly what you want to say to trigger me, and it's so funny. But
No, I'm not trying to trigger it. I just
no, not
no,
you. I'm talking about Clinton.
I wasn't thinking that until you said something, and now it's all coming back to me. Oh my God. No way. Well, maybe you're right. Maybe you have a little bit of autism, Cole.
Got the I got the tism.
Oh, you got the WWE-ism or F, whatever it was back in the day.
But then
now.
again, I bet you that you can find the same thing about Star Wars, right? Like, or does it have to?
No, it doesn't have to be. I can agree completely. I agree with that. Like everybody, like a lot of people I talk to, like if I bring up Star Wars, mainly women, right? If I'm talking to women, granted, most women,
Oh,
but it's
bro,
like, oh yeah,
do you think that that's a fucking gameplay? Oh yeah, I'm gonna talk about Star Wars with the ladies.
well, no,
That'll get 'em.
but like if you get in a
That'll get
conversation and
'em.
talk about likes and dislikes, like I'm not
Bro,
gonna pretend I'm somebody I'm not. Like, oh yeah, if it comes up, however I bring it up, oh yeah, I like this and that,
You have
and
the
then,
Sith Lord on your arm.
well, yeah, that's a dead giveaway right there. I
that
got
is a
fucking
dead giveaway.
I got an Emperor Palpatine. Did I ever show you that? On my arm, bro. True Sith.
Damn. Holy shit. Bro, you got the final form Palpatine.
I'm surprised you noticed that because this has gotten old. But yes, that is final form Palpatine. That's what he wanted to do.
You think I wouldn't notice that?
I'm thoroughly impressed. Ain't nobody else gonna know final form, but you did.
That's final form Palpatine right there, bro.
Yeah, it is.
I
Yep.
mean, I disagree with his existence in some ways, but at the same time, it is what it is. There we
Oh,
go.
whoa. Hang on here. I gotta take a drink. That doesn't make. Hold on. Wait. How do you disagree with his existence? He wasn't born through the Force. He was born through a mother and father.
I'm talking about the fact that he exists in canon like that. Because I don't necessarily agree with Disney fucking canon, but it is what it is because the kids growing up, they're going to accept
That's the only thing I can agree. Come on, let's be real here. That is the only thing we can agree on that made any sense in the movie is that, especially when you have fucking Lord Snoke up in there.
Thing. Yeah, I agree.
Where he doesn't make any sense because he's like a weak nothing, and you.
Bro,
that's
what I'm saying is I'm just going to interrupt you because I should let you speak. I'm just gonna say I agree already, but maybe anybody watching this has no clue what we're talking about, so I should not have cut you off. But I'm just gonna say yes, given the circumstances, given what was laid out before, which was a big shit show, obviously, and again, that will be disputed, right? And actually it is sadly analogous to how people felt about the prequels, which bothers the fuck out of me because it really causes me to, I know, but it causes me to self-reflect.
At least the pre-equals made sense in the story.
What do you mean?
Don't even get me started on the sequels in The Force Awakens with that last trilogy. The pre-equals led up to everything that happened in 4, 5,
but I'm
and
saying
6.
what's implicit in what you're saying. Yeah, I said it.
Jesus
What's implicit in what you're saying is that, okay, this is what I think you said if we break it down.
Okay.
And also,
this say much. I haven't finished.
No, but this is what your tattoo says, and this is what you're saying as well. It is what it is. It is what it is. The Disney canon is what it is, but it is canon, and so therefore, like, given the shit show we got, the only acceptable solution to that shit show was that Palpatine had to be behind everything, and I agree with that. But I don't think they should have structured it that way. And by the way, I would be fine with Palpatine coming back. I would be fine with him coming back, even the way that he did. I think that was cool. Again, I agree with you that in isolation it's cool, but I would have
not only that, but he was literally living. The only reason he was still alive is because he was using the Force through a clone or whatever it was that he had
Yeah,
made.
exactly. But what
So
George
that's
would have
cool.
given us, if George went that route, which I don't think he would have, but maybe he would have, because actually Ian McDiarmid was the only cast member who was there for almost the entire everything, but
Mhm.
except for the first one. But but then he was retroactively put in, which, as far as Lucas is concerned, is everything now. He's in the whole thing. That George might have, as he does, because like he changed his mind many times during the prequels. George might have and probably would have said, "Yeah, you know what? Fucking bring back Palpatine. Palpatine should be in the final analysis." But you know what Luke would, you know what George would have done? You know what he would have done? He would have made it so that you could bring Palpatine back through all this. He would have elaborated all this stuff that everybody would have criticized him for, because all that stuff where you said it was implied, it would have been made, it would have had conversations, dry dialogue, but the dry dialogue would have explained.
Wait, hold on. I didn't.
But the
I
dry
agree with you.
dialogue would have explained that Palpatine is back as a clone, but it doesn't take anything away from the bringing balance to the Force that Anakin, he would have made sure that it was crystal clear that Anakin was still the chosen one, that Luke was still relevant here in a very big way. And then he would have brought Palpatine back in a way that was like, yeah, this is the remnants of the fucking bullshit dark side, but it's not really Palpatine. It's really like, it's something that makes sense within the sort of like weird science of the midi-chlorians and the whatever. Like, I think that's the big difference. We could have still gotten final form Palpatine. He could have still been behind a lot of shit, but Lucas would have made that way less fucking just like, oh yeah, we don't know what we're doing, so fucking Palpatine's back.
When you say that, I understand what you're saying, but in a way, canon or not, I do think the only thing I agree with on that entire sequel of that series is Palpatine coming back, because that's the only way that would have made any sense, that Snoke was defeated by some two Jedi who know nothing about the Force at that point, but somehow he's defeated and he's supposed to be this powerful Sith. That never would have happened against an actual powerful Sith. He would have destroyed those two and they would have been dead. So
also, I do like
the fact
idea,
that he
like,
hold on, the fact that he was
sorry.
just a lesser body and nothing more than a puppet of Palpatine's, okay, I can accept the fact. But after that he had died, I was like, okay, well, where's the Sith at? There's got to be something more. And so my first thought was Palpatine. I mean, literally, Palpatine has to be controlling him. Like, that was my very first thought. And I was like, the only way that's going to make sense is if Palpatine somehow comes back.
Well,
and
right.
so yeah,
and
in the last one he comes back. And so really the only thing I agree on with those entire last three movies is how the Force was working and how the story was playing out, is the fact that Palpatine was there. And I do kind of think it's kind of cool that he was still living and breathing strictly through the power of the Force to keep himself alive through some empty vessel, and was able to garnish enough strength and power left to, after he had passed, to still be himself. Granted, he was still weakened, but then the Jedi showed up and said, okay, now he's strengthened again. I can't remember what happened, but so I can agree with that, and I think I like that take better than what Lucas would have done for the take. In terms of
no, but we don't know what Lucas would have done. All I'm saying is that I think, so all I'm commenting on, and points taken, I think you make very, very good points on this, like, seriously. But what I would say is, all I was trying to say was that the setup, even if that was exactly the way that it is, even if that was exactly the way that it is, I don't think Lucas would have set it up that way. It's like, even if somebody and he on his own, or somebody may have convinced him to do it exactly the way that we saw it, but it would have just felt like it would have made way more sense, and the payoff would have been way better, even if it was cumbersome. And but I also just want to say, like, that whole arc, I do like the Kylo Ren. Like, I do like the Kylo Ren coming back to the light side, because we never saw in Star Wars, we never literally, other than Vader at the very end of Return of the Jedi, which is kind of he's on his deathbed, so it's not the same thing really. But this was the first time that we ever saw somebody who was fully, quote unquote, entrenched in the dark side, literally like throw it away and grab his blue lightsaber and like literally be in the prime of youth and
Yeah,
come
he
back.
was
Even
very.
that element I liked, but I didn't
Yeah,
like
he
the
was
character that much
definitely
by that point. You see what I'm saying?
like he was. I mean, he was consumed. He was consumed in the darkness there for a while.
Yeah, exactly. And I think there's something I'm just trying to say,
I have
like
no.
even that film, even that aspect, like I did find that pretty epic when he came and like helped Ray out or whatever. But I just think like Ray as a character shouldn't even have been there. It should not have. Maybe she should have been there, but again, the lead up to her should have been way better. It should have made way more sense, and it should have
Yeah,
felt way more emotional. Like, do you remember that scene? Go back to that fucking scene. You can even just look at a clip. Oh, Clinton left. All right. Well, I'm gonna finish.
I had to get off Wi-Fi quick and get back
Oh,
on.
no
We have
worries, no
5G
worries.
here now.
Oh, nice. Let me just finish this one point and then go
Never
on.
used to. They must have put up a new tower.
Oh, nice, nice.
All right.
Uh, the
Okay, the last thing I heard you say was talking about Ray.
well, yeah, but like Ray would have. Okay, so compare it to if you go back to the Return of the Jedi, and you
Yes.
watch that scene where Luke is fighting with Vader, and the Emperor, quite frankly. Think about how emotionally impactful it was, the way that Luke fought and then eventually just threw away his lightsaber, and that whole arc. It just, you can watch it in isolation. You don't even
Well,
have
the
to
arc.
watch the whole film.
I know
It
what you're
makes
saying.
sense.
Like, that's what I'm saying though. Is like, look, you're right. Look how Luke in the last in 4, 5, and 6, how compassionate he was about the Jedi and how he strived to be the best Jedi. He didn't necessarily want to be the most powerful, but he definitely
It was all about integrity.
he wanted to be, but not in a selfish way, right? Because he's a Jedi.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
and then
But
you
also
and then
just
you
yeah.
and then you throw in 7, 8, and 9, and he goes from being somebody who wants all this and to just giving up.
No, but
Like,
I agree with you. But I'm not even talking about Luke's arc. I'm saying in the sequels. I'm talking about just because JJ tried to imitate, in a sense, the feeling that you got from that final scene with Vader. That was supposed to be the equivalent when like Kylo Ren joined Rey. And what I'm telling you is that the emotional impact that was set up before we saw that battle in Return of the Jedi was completely missing when we saw that. Like, so like it was epic and quite stirring when Kylo joined, but it was also still kind of hollow because you're like, I don't really care about Rey that much. I don't really care about Kylo that much.
they didn't develop those characters very well.
No, no. And also, even if they did develop them, they developed them in a way that they became very unsympathetic. I mean, they're just not very sympathetic characters, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
to anything. There was nothing. There was no thanks given anywhere. There was no sympathy towards Luke. Like, Luke just phased out, and that was it.
yeah, I know.
And
Actually,
there was
everything was
nothing
terrible
to it.
in terms
And
of
then
that.
it was like, and then it's like, Rey, I am all of the Jedi. You are not all of the Jedi because you are not strong enough to harness the power they're giving you right now. Then again, it didn't make any sense. Like,
Well, I mean,
you are not all the Jedi. Like, I get that using the Force, maybe it wasn't all about her being able to utilize it, and she was only able to utilize it because the past Jedi were, whatever, like being present to her, and she had that ability, I guess, to communicate with them. But
yeah.
I don't think that Force wise she was capable enough of taking on that responsibility.
No.
And I think
No.
in my mind she should have failed and Palpatine should have succeeded at that point.
Well, yeah, or why can't you just let Kylo Ren be the actual like?
Yeah.
Like if we were being
Well,
the
you're
way that
right.
they
It would make more sense to have Kylo Ren succeed there than Rey, because Kylo Ren
Exactly.
already had all of his experience and he was pretty strong with it, the Force, to an extent. And
No,
he had,
but he was supposed. I mean, like if we see it, like that was the first time that we ever saw. Remember in Force Awakens, we nerded out about, or I mean, at least I did, and I think we probably talked about it. But like that he froze a blaster in midair. Like we never saw that in canon. We never
no.
saw a
And so that's what
Jedi
I thought was cool.
freeze a blaster. Yeah. So I'm
I
saying
like
he
that. I
was.
was like, no way. And that, well, see, that for me immediately was like, holy fuck, he's doing something that I've never seen any other Jedi or Sith do. That's pretty fucking cool. Maybe he's really powerful. And then all of a sudden it turns out he's weak.
Well, yeah, but exactly. But he's weak as like it's okay to be weak as a character. Like I think that's something that they developed about Anakin, right? Like he was
Yeah.
he was powerful,
True.
but he fell because he was actually weak. Like this whole thing about Padme, but it was a kind of weakness that you actually sympathize with. Whereas Kylo
Yeah.
felt like he was weak because what you
Well,
projected onto
I mean,
him.
you could
Hold on,
sympathize with.
really quick. Hold that thought. I'm just gonna last thing.
Yep.
Kylo was weak because he was basically like you just saw him as like that like teenage angst kind of vibe. That's all I was gonna say. Like
I was gonna say
versus
you could
yeah.
you could sympathize with him though, because Kylo was weak though
You can
because of his
sympathize
father.
because we've all been a fucking bitch. Yeah.
Because of Han Solo though. Remember, like he knew what he had to do to fully embrace it.
I can sympathize with that, but they made a very like sort of Three Stooges thing where it was like, remember even literally in The Force Awakens when he like just loses his temper and starts banging his lightsaber against the walls or whatever, like, "Duh! Ah!
Yeah.
You know, like I'm saying, like, okay, yeah, we can relate to that, but that is not strength. Like that makes you look. The whole thing about Vader and Palpatine is that they move slowly. And you never see them lose their cool. I mean, Vader, if he loses his cool, he does it because he's like, "Don't choke on your ambitions," or whatever the fuck he's saying. You know what I mean? Like your lack of faith disturbs me. But you're not seeing him go, "Blah," and then just go like. Imagine if you saw. Let me just say one thing. Imagine if you saw in the original trilogy. Imagine if you saw Vader, like within a few minutes of his on-screen introduction, suddenly go, "No, I don't like this," and he starts hammering the fuck.
Wait, why
out
does
the
he have an
walls.
Arnold voice all of a sudden?
Yeah, because I mean, come on, because so. But,
Mando,
I'm just
you
saying,
can't defeat me. I'm the most.
but bro, imagine if you saw Vader going, and banging his lightsaber, and it
Yeah,
would
you would
make
automatically think he's a child and weak.
weak. And you would see everybody around him as the adults in the room. And that's exactly what we got subconsciously with Kylo. Like once
Yep.
they did that, and then once he, and then if you want to like add piss to the fucking piss soup, basically where they went wrong is like when he's looking at Rey and he's got his stupid helmet on, and then he just takes it off and he's like this like very like nicely lit, attractive guy. You're like, oh, okay. And that was just in the first movie, but we all suspended that like feeling and said, but maybe this will all make sense. Okay, yeah, Kylo is a little bitch, but he's also an attractive guy. So now the story is gonna go somewhere where this just all makes sense. And then it doesn't. He stays an attractive guy. He doesn't have his fucking helmet on. It's just like, bro, you
And
made
then none
your
of it
bad
makes
guy
any
not
sense.
scary at all. Like
Yeah, they kind of ruined the whole persona that was built up was ruined.
And also, he was acting like, I would say Adam Driver. Why people don't criticize him is because
I like him as an actor.
Yeah, exactly. But you could also see that he was fully capable of being a Kylo Ren that was not a bitch.
Oh yeah, he was fully capable of being a dude he could have been a true Sith Lord. And I wish that's the route they would have taken with him.
I would say Obi-Wan wrote the fucking sequels. This is basically, you know what I think would be the genius thing.
Kylo Ren had the potential to be a fucking badass. I think, you know what they should have done, because they haven't done it in any of the other Jedi except for with Count Dooku, is Kylo Ren should have been that dark Jedi and stayed that way. Not turn to the light, not do this, and they would have been able to make another 3 fucking movies leading up to the battle between Rey and Kylo Ren.
Yeah, exactly. And not being a bitch. Like not being the bitch of so here's the thing. He was not only a bitch to us as the audience, and again I say that without any sort of sexist undertones. But as we might understand the term, which is like a whiny little whatever.
Right.
He was a bitch not only to the audience in terms of like just losing his cool. he was also a bitch in terms of the fact that he was literally the bitch of this like supreme leader Snoke. Like, okay, yeah, Vader
Yeah.
was the bitch of Palpatine, but you never saw him as a bitch in any other context.
Yeah,
You
and
see what I'm saying?
even with his communication with Palpatine, you never felt like he was super undermined. Like you
No,
always
exactly.
felt like
He was more of an equal, but
yeah,
at the same
you
time,
always
like,
had this
yeah,
feeling of him being an equal and being just as powerful as Palpatine. And you knew that. Like you got that sense of like Palpatine's kind of bending his knee for this guy because he knows
right.
that Vader can be fucking do what he wants if he wants to, type of deal.
Yes, that was the feeling you got, regardless
Yeah.
of any sort of canon, whatever legends,
Right.
whatever. But that was the feeling on screen that you got. And if and what I would say is a good analogy to that is like when you see those
You know
movies
what
where
we
like hold on, where you see the mob boss and he's like this like 5'4" guy and he commands everybody, but he's got his big enforcer, and then the big enforcer comes in and is like, "What do I got to do, boss?" Like you never see the enforcer as a bitch. You see the enforcer,
no.
you're like, "Oh my god, the mob boss must be a serious motherfucker because why
Right.
has this guy been able to, why is this guy in a position that he can tell this guy?" So then you see Vader as that big 6'5" like enforcer, and you see Palpatine as a mob boss. But in the fucking Snoke dynamic, it's more like if you just had a little dog that you kick around, or like a court jester,
Yep.
or like a
That's
fucking,
very true.
you know,
Yeah,
that's
no,
the
that's true.
fucking
Yeah, no,
problem.
and that is honestly how I saw it. I'm like, oh, Kylo
Yeah,
Ren answers to this guy, but but it's always like, puppy dog
but he's a
status.
bitch.
Like you're like, oh yes, do this, do that, and it's, you know what I mean? Like I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah,
No, it's
it never
exactly that.
seemed like, they never made you feel like Kylo Ren was capable. And I
Well,
think
no, and
of all the,
remember what
I
he
think,
said, like, "Oh, take off that ridiculous mask." It's like,
yeah,
imagine Palpatine saying something like that to Vader, like, "And Lord Vader, take off that ridiculous mouthpiece," or whatever.
he
And
would
then he's
never
like,
say that.
"Yes,
He would
Master."
request it very kindly.
But even
You
if
know
he
what I mean?
did, he'd never show it on fucking screen because, like,
Yeah.
there's no
Not
way
only
to do
that,
that.
but Palpatine would never request for Vader to take off his mask in the first place.
No, because he's
Like
a
that
fucking
wouldn't happen.
politician. He's a politician also. Remember,
Yeah.
like Sidious is fucking, like, he's a shrewd operator. And as much as he wants to manipulate Vader, he's also not trying to trigger Vader like to hit, he's not trying to like be like, la 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 la, you can't
Right.
touch me. Like, no,
Yeah.
he's saying like
And that's
my
kind of how they
friend. He
portrayed
always calls him my
Snoke. It's like,
friend.
here,
Remember?
get on this merry-go-round, those fucking things they had at the park here. Let me spin you till you cry.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
basically.
But do you
And then
remember how
Kylo gets on, is like, "Oh, I want to ride it. I want to ride it because you told me to." And it's like, okay. And then he starts bawling
exactly.
because
Exactly. Do you
pussies.
remember that scene, Clinton, where it's like in the Empire Strikes Back, I think it is, or it might be, no, it's Return of the Jedi, where Palpatine gets off his shuttle, and by then Vader has already failed. I mean, think about this: the first Death Star blew up, and that was you could see that as a failure of Vader. Because he was trailing Luke and he fucked up, and Luke destroyed the fucking Death Star. As corny as that story is, but it is what it is, right?
Hey,
Like
I mean, Luke was a hell of a good pilot, which the prequels
yeah,
led
of
up
course,
to
of course,
show
he
you
was a
that
hell
because
of a
Anakin.
pilot.
So
Yes,
yeah, that's
yes, yeah,
you can
but
give that
still,
some credit.
thinking in terms of the dynamic, though, as far as Palpatine is concerned, who's a fucking like mega Sith Lord.
Are you saying he should have known to prevent this?
No, but I'm saying Palpatine looked at Vader as already having failed by letting that first Death Star be destroyed. And then when we see
Right.
Palpatine in Return of the Jedi get off, they're reconstructing the Death Star, or they're doing a new Death Star, right? They're
Right.
doing a new one. And Palpatine gets off his shuttle. It's an uncompleted project, but what does he say? And what is Vader always saying to his subordinates? He's always saying, "Oh, I hope the Emperor is as patient. The Emperor won't be as
Oh, I hope.
patient as I am."
Yeah.
Something
Yep.
like that, right?
Yep.
So basically, but the implicit thing is that Vader has already made good with Palpatine, so there's a mutual respect there. But then to further cement that, when Palpatine gets off his shuttle and they're walking together, the first thing he says is, I can't remember exactly what he says, but he says, "My friend." So
Yep.
we get this sense that like Palpatine is at least acting like Vader is an equal. So we see that literally. It's not even just the implication or the implied thing of like the way that they act. It's literally
Yeah.
that
Well,
Palpatine says,
just mentioning this just makes the sequels to the 4, 5, and 6 sound even worse, because just think about all of the backstory from 1, 2, and 3 leading into 4, 5, and 6, right? And yet Vader and Palpatine, there's still this very much love between the two, whether Palpatine wants to admit it or not. That is Palpatine's fucking, like, that's his son, literally.
well, or that Palpatine, like, because if you take the
He
but I
respects
agree.
him.
On screen, yes, and then we bring up the fucking, but we don't bring up necessarily off screen stuff, but yes, you could also read that into like just Palpatine putting on a facade. Like it's almost like a game that both of them know they're playing.
Well, they're
And
both
he's
playing a
just,
game. I mean, being Sith,
of
you know
course,
that.
right? But yeah, but it's like, but we're actually seeing a moment. So what? I mean, whether he intended to or not, what Lucas showed us on screen was that while they're
He's an
walking,
equal.
there's nobody else there. It's not like Palpatine is doing it to show the stormtroopers or
No.
whatever. Like he could just be saying like Lord Vader, blah blah blah. But the idea of like personally saying my friend is
Well,
like
yeah, and
that
that's
means
just
that they still
and
have
that's
a
kind of what I'm
dynamic
getting at.
where
They never developed that in the last 3 at all with any of the characters.
no.
It's just like, oh, ho hum ha ha, here we go. You're here, Ray. We're acquaintances. Here, Snoke, you're my acquaintance, and now we've defeated you. But there's no rhyme or
Yeah.
reason as to why. There's
Yeah.
It's just like,
Exactly.
oh, it's like writing a story and saying,
And then this happens, and then that person meets that person, and then they go there, and then but there's no like why
and
should
then
why
Luke is
should they
like
care about each other?
non-existent throughout pretty much the entire 4, 5, and 6, which in my opinion he shouldn't have been.
Well, no, exactly, because also like he was the one actor that was a nerd and was willing to do anything. So they could have used him for literally anything. Like they
Yeah.
could, I mean, Harrison Ford, they convinced him by saying, "We will kill you off since you don't want to be part of
So
this."
my question is, why in the hell do they have Rey and Kylo ending Palpatine when it should have been Luke in the end?
Well, exactly, but that's the point because they
Come on
wanted.
now,
They,
come on. Would that not have been a better ending? Is
of course it
Palpatine
would.
gaining
it
his
would.
power, gaining his full potential back, and going head to head with Luke, like in everything? Like, you know how epic that fight could have been? They were
Oh my
too lazy
God.
to choreograph it.
Well, no, but they also fucked it up because the second movie killed Luke off, and I don't want to see a forced go. I don't want to see a fucking force ghost
Well,
Luke.
that's what I'm saying, though, is like, yeah, I wasn't thinking about that, but I'm saying, like, if they wouldn't have done that.
Bro, was it the thing that you sent me? Was it because like I already okay, and I'm not saying this to like
That last thing I sent you with the
yeah,
Star
but I'm
Wars.
saying I've seen all the shit like because we talked about it. I was telling you on the last call, on the last whatever we want to call this, like about the whole thing about Luke or sorry Mark Hamill saying like, oh, Jake Skywalker is how I got into character, and then you sent me that and that video kind of like of the compilation of that. I can't remember if that was on this video, but I think it was either this one or a different video, and tell me if you've seen this, where Mark Hamill is like arguing, not really arguing, but he's saying to the producers and the people that are on set, including the director, I guess, where he's saying like every time that Luke dies, like because they were reshooting that scene where he like just lays there and dies, and there's
Right.
this video where he's like, but what if I just get back up? Like, what if I get back up? And the producer's like, yeah, but then we're gonna have to cut that and we're gonna have to redo the scene and we're gonna whatever. And he's like, but Luke can't die right now. This is not the time. Like, And I'm just saying, like, if they had just left an opening where he wasn't like dead, then but they killed it in that second one, just like everything else. Like that second one made it impossible in a way because you don't want to see fucking Force Ghost. Like, okay, fine, I can accept Force Ghost. Yoda.
Yeah, but not battling and shit.
Yeah, lightning strike, okay, whatever, that's pretty cool. Like I can accept that. Like we would have been nerding out over that in the lore or whatever, like when we were kids. But you're right, it should be Luke at the end but it should be
Yeah.
because Luke almost died, or like he can have a bunch of
Yeah.
incapacities here.
That
But
would have.
it needs to be actual Luke beating fucking Palpatine. It
It had
can't
to
be a
be.
Force Ghost, but
That's what it
they
should
already
have been.
eliminated
That was the whole point of the whole damn story. Is Luke trying to save his father from the dark side, and eventually he comes through to him in episode 6, right?
Well,
And
now I'm gonna
that
try to
kind
speak
and
for these people though,
and that kind of
because
happens. And
yeah,
then all of a
exactly.
sudden you have 7, 8, and 9 where they completely throw the fact that that's Luke's whole story is to
Well, no,
get
but actually, let's think about this. Luke's
Vader.
actual story, Luke's
Darth Vader.
actual story, Luke's actual story is not that Luke did not destroy Palpatine, right?
Well,
Anakin
right.
did, and the only in the whole story was actually about, first of all, Anakin's
Yeah, but
redemption.
Anakin never Anakin Vader, whatever you want, never destroyed Palpatine. I mean, he did.
Well, no, but
He
I'm
threw
saying
him. He threw him
forget
into
the
the thing,
sequels.
but didn't
Forget
ever
the
true.
sequel. Forget the
Right,
sequels.
but he didn't ever actually do it, so it should have been Luke.
Well, exactly, but then again, but now I'm going to put myself in the writer's perspective here. You can't have the same guy who threw away his lightsaber and refused to kill the Emperor, because that would also destroy Luke's arc. Because Luke actually was a pacifist in that moment. He said, he basically, if you rewatch
You're
that
way
scene,
on a deeper level than I am. I don't remember any of that. Now that you
well,
bring
no,
it
but
up,
if you
okay,
if you re-look at that scene, Luke, okay, I'll paint the picture. It's exactly how it happened. You can look it up, and this will give you, I think, the same feeling. So Luke is sitting there hammering away. He's tapping into the dark side clearly, and he's chopping fucking Vader. He cuts off his arm, and then Luke realizes, oh my god, I also have a chopped off arm.
right. I remember that part. Yeah.
And then he like looks at his lightsaber and he's like, oh my Jesus Christ. And then
Yeah.
Palpatine's like, good, now kill him.
Yep.
And then what ends up happening is Luke like looking at his lightsaber, and he goes, and he fucking throws his lightsaber. This is the most significant thing, because we never saw this in the prequels. We never saw this in the anywhere. I mean, and they tried to replicate it, but Luke throws away his lightsaber, and he says, no, actually, you've lost, because you didn't fucking turn me to the dark side. So even if you kill me and my father right now, you lose, bitch, because we're done. He's defeated, I'm defeated, and I'm a Jedi like my father before me. And he literally throws away his lightsaber. So he's defenseless. He's not Yoda. He can't channel that ball of fucking, he didn't learn how to do that in the 800 years that Yoda was alive. He doesn't know how to do it. So he throws away his lightsaber and he takes the consequences. He sacrifices himself. It's a real sacrifice. Luke assumes he's going to die. He assumes that the Emperor is going to do whatever the Emperor is going to do, but he will not kill his father.
True.
He will not kill his father. So Luke refuses to kill the Emperor. And what happens at the end of the sequel trilogy is the Emperor is begging Rey to kill him. And in a sense, she does, which is exactly the whole message that we were supposed to get away from. Like the whole point that was made with after the prequels was the Jedi of the old era were wrong. They should have been more like, put your weapons down, because you're just feeding the fucking dark side. And Luke already did it. And then in the later ones, Palpatine's begging Rey to do it, and she's holding up this thing. And then guess who's working through her? Yoda, Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan. They all wanted to destroy Vader. And Luke said, I will not destroy him. I will not do it. So basically, she channeled the exact message, the old Jedi Order that we were supposed to get away from. This was the thing that Luke got away from. So Luke could never kill the Emperor, and quite frankly, the fact that Rey did kill the Emperor means the Emperor
You gave
won.
me chills there for a second when you were talking, because it's
But that
so
means
true, dude.
The Emperor won. The whole Skywalker trilogy ends with the Emperor winning, because he said, strike me down, become, it doesn't even matter if she really becomes his heir. She did the thing that Luke was not willing. If you strike me
down, you become more powerful than.
Yeah. So, and then she didn't throw away her lightsabers, right? So what happens now? Now we're in a situation where it's like, actually, if they were really if they had integrity, what they would do is continue this on and say she was a failure, she failed, and actually she tarnished the Skywalker legacy. Whatever you want to say about it, she did. Like, she took the Jedi Order exactly back to the old Republic, not the old Republic, but
The only way it succeeds now is Rey turns to the dark side.
Rey turns to the dark side, and it turns out she was wrong, and we get a new Luke Skywalker who is. But again, like, the pacifism only works at the very last moment, because if he was a pacifist the whole time, we would think he was a boring character.
Yeah, well, that's why she has to go. That's why she has to be Sith now, because obviously she wasn't pacifist in that moment. So now she has to take that role as a Sith. They can't play if they make it 10, 11, and 12. She has to turn to the dark side at some point and continue that. I mean,
they would have to grow up a lot for this to make sense to them. I mean, I think we got a bunch of fucking morons in control of this franchise. But maybe, you got the Jon Favreau, but he's not really.
I mean, just like everybody else says, though, the saga ended with 6, because that is a very good ending.
It is a good ending. Yeah, it is a good ending.
It makes sense within the lore.
It's an amazing ending. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's what I was saying. Like, if you wanted to get really radical, okay, so you got a few options, right? Like, if you got the budget, and maybe now AI, like, as much as I'm scared about it, it will probably make it easier to do these things.
Yeah.
They could do both, technically. They could kind of go like a Marvel multiverse thing, but we don't have to call it that. They could just make it like a certain point of view, because Obi-Wan, remember that whole thing about, like, from a certain point of view.
Yeah, but do you really want Disney to take their point of view at this point?
No, but
Probably
I'm saying
not.
but I'm saying, in order to save it, if you got the right exact ideal people in there, what they could do is they could say, okay, the whole sequel trilogy that you saw was actually Jedi propaganda. Like, this is what they would have wanted to happen or something. And you could say, like, this is like, if Obi-Wan could have told you the sequel trilogy, this is what he would have come up with. You could have the whole thing as like a fucking, like, daydream that, like, Ewan McGregor was having.
You can't continue that with those as sequels. They would just be spin-offs of what ifs.
No, but I'm saying you could redo the whole. You could say that, like, the real canon was that, you could establish a whole new series where you actually take whatever you want to happen after Luke Skywalker does this whole pacifist thing.
To be honest, that's what they need to do now, because there's really no coming back from the last 3 unless Rey goes to the dark side and they develop some sort of story to go on afterwards, and it would have to include Kylo Ren, and Kylo Ren would be now on the light side and trying to bring Rey back type of dumb deal, your typical thing, and there'd have to be a totally different. I mean, that's a typical plot, but they've left themselves that plot point is that Rey's the dark side now, Kylo is now on the light side. She wouldn't initially be the dark side yet in the first movie, right? But by the end of the 3rd one, you'd see that she's finally converted to the dark side and she's full on. And then the next set of sequels, right, would be probably Kylo Ren trying to bring. Well, that's what I'm saying. That would be boring.
Yeah, exactly. I know that's what you're saying. It's implicit in what you're saying. But it is.
Yeah.
It is. I get you, man.
But that's what it would have to be for it to make sense. That's what it would have to
be. So basically, we need some avenue for rebooting this, but it can't be, because if you call it a reboot, then you're going to get a lot of people who are loyal to it objecting. But the story needs no way a certain point of view kind of vibe going on.
There's no way that Disney and the people they have writing, there's no way they could ever.
Maybe not in our lifetime.
There's no way they could ever reboot Star Wars in a good way. It would be an absolute mess, because with the last 3, they managed to completely show the fans, and not even necessarily fans, but people like you and me who really truly understand how the Force works and how it's supposed to work and how things are supposed to go. There's no way they understand that. They all got to get real high one day and sit together and do that, or they'll never understand it.
That's a good point. I mean, you ain't wrong on that.
I didn't understand it until I was high. I didn't. And
No,
then
I
I got
remember.
high and I was like, I saw it and I saw what you
But
got to
this
see and I
this
was like,
was
oh my God.
this was literally. Do you remember this? Because I remember like this was in one of our early phases where I was like obsessed with the fucking prequels because I think that the third one had come out recently. And I was like, and by that, but at that point, the narrative was like that these movies sucked and blah, 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 especially the new ones, blah, blah, blah. And I don't even think you were into the fucking old ones at that point. And I remember like sitting there in that blue room. I was like sitting on like some shitty Dell laptop and showing you this shit on like a computer. But this was also, I sort of convinced you to fucking actually smoke the MJ because you were so against it, which again, I was too. But we had this weird little period of time where there was a disconnect where I was like, okay, I used to think the same thing you do about it, which is that it's horrible and it's whatever and it's a sign that you're a fucking like skid or whatever. And then when I like did that with Nate Lechner and Alex Gilbertson, like finally I convinced you to do it, and there was a point similar to me. Like at first it didn't do anything, and then when it finally clicked, then you got fucking like you were like, oh shit. You got the fucking download. Oh my god, hold on a sec.